Diablo Immortal has had a lot of content and blood spilled over it, and Josh Strife Hayes has an amazing video that we will be reacting to in this video. We have been doing reaction content in a more dialogue discussion sort of way. We want to be super charitable to the people that we do this with. We've done Young Yeah, Asmongold, Maddie Plays, and now I've been on a couple of podcasts with Josh Strife Hayes. He's a super nice guy. We're actually going to try and have him on the Reforge Roundtable very soon, but he has a 44-minute video called The Immoral Design of Diablo Immortal, and we will be reacting to it and sort of dialoguing about it. It's actually extremely educational. I'm going to bring people over from the stream this morning. We did an Evil West new gameplay breakdown stream. Really cool looking game. It's an indie title. It doesn't look like an indie title. Actually, surprisingly gorgeous looking game, like a Western with zombies and, well, not zombies, but vampires. So we're going to be checking this out, his video, and I will be pausing it throughout and sort of dialoguing with what he says. Now, I do want to make sure and make this note at the beginning. He has uploaded sort of an addendum, okay? He has uploaded an addendum video called Legendary Chest Addendum, okay? The Immoral Design of Diablo Immortal, Legendary Chest Addendum. He says in the description, he says, "I'm sorry, I didn't spot this extremely sneaky trick in the first video. The free-to-play experience of Diablo Immortal actually rewards slightly different legendary crests to the cash shop. It's a minor change, but a major gameplay difference." So he does have a second video that you need to go watch. Okay, so support him. His link and description's in the description below. So you need to go watch his addendum after this. Give that video some love because the one is going to hit 2 million views, and that one's already at like 500,000 views. So support the vids, support the man himself. He puts a lot of work into these videos. So without further ado, let's get into this. He's got lots of things to say, and we have a lot of things to say in response as well.
In this video, I'm going to show you a great game built on a terrible foundation. I'll show you how you can spend £20 to condense 6 months worth of free-to-play farming into 3 minutes, and how even if you do buy the 30-day item pack, you might not actually get the 30-day item pack. I'll show you the secret mathematical and psychological tricks the game uses to get you to spend money, including abusive pricing structures, multiple layers of RNG, and the 22 different in-game currencies. I'll explain how Diablo Immortal has got around the legal definition of loot box by adding in a single gameplay step despite being functionally the same process. I'll explain how Diablo Immortal is essentially a gacha game and has hidden whale mechanics you can't even find until you've invested enough money that they are sure they've got you. And then I'll lament over how if you removed all of this, it's actually a very good game.
I like that he does this just from a content. Let me give you a content creator perspective here. This is something I'm bad at sometimes when I do like my little short 4-minute videos. Now, obviously, he's doing a 44-minute video, so he has to, I think, set the table a little bit more exhaustively. But I try to be better about this. I try to set the table in the open to a video so that somebody watches the entire 4 minutes. It's actually a very good method of whetting your appetite a little bit, because you're going to hear everything he just said and you're going to make mental notes of like, oh, I want to hear him talk about that. I think the biggest things to note are his talks about stuff that you can't even see until you've spent a significant amount of money, as well as the legal loophole around loot boxes. That is actually, I think, a very important point in his video. I watched this morning. I could not watch it on the faster speed. I had to watch it at normal speed because he speaks very quickly, which I love. I love somebody who speaks quickly. It means he can get a lot said in a short amount of time, but you can't watch his videos at the faster speed. I can do that with other content creators. I can even do that with myself when I'm trying to look for a short, like I'm trying to look for a funny moment or something, but I couldn't do that with him. So I do think he did an excellent job setting the table. Guys, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you put yourself on live chat. And let me know what you think of this reaction style content in the chat or the comments.
Start with the basics. Video game critique, especially on the internet, can be a difficult thing to balance. Fans of any game want you to praise it and can become angered when you point out flaws. And people who dislike the game love it when you point out flaws and hate it when you praise it. This is because video game communities contain very passionate people both for and against any game or company, and both extreme sides are often reading reviews or watching videos looking for confirmation bias, not actual critique. Most people want to be told what they already strongly believe is correct. The for and against Diablo Immortal camps have already sprung up, with some people focusing on the absurd cash shop and others saying, you don't need to pay, it's a free game, just don't spend any money. The cash shop critics point out the blatant pay-for-advantage systems and daily login rewards encouraging addictive gameplay patterns, along with the loot box-style gameplay so egregious it's already been preemptively banned in 2 countries for falling foul of the EU gambling laws, and the game supporters reply with a well-rehearsed, well, I'm having fun, it hasn't affected me.
Okay, so one of the things I really, really like that he does in this video, I like that he takes the time to address that, because that is one of the common things that we're hearing from people is, I'm playing totally free to play, I'm having a good time, I'm having fun. There's zero doubt in my mind that people are having fun with this game. That's why it's probably making the money that it's making, is that people are playing and enjoying it. No one's going to spend money in a game that they're not enjoying. No one's going to spend money in a game that they've immediately put down. It's had 8.5 million downloads. It's made like $24 million. Now, we don't know if that's a big success just yet. It still hasn't successfully launched in China. They're saying it's being delayed for like performance patches and stuff. That's not true. There's likely some legality surrounding the fact that it hasn't landed in those countries. And the 2 countries that he mentioned, Netherlands and Belgium, the being banned from there, we want to make sure how we frame that. It's not like the game launched there and got kicked out or banned. They could have made changes to the game and successfully launched there, and Blizzard opted not to. So it's not allowed to launch there. The word banned can sometimes carry with it a presumption or an assumption. I don't think Josh Strife Hayes is doing anything underhanded when he says that. There were headlines, there were many people that reported on it and said that it's been banned, it's been banned, it's been banned. That is true in a sense, but I just want to make sure people understand it didn't launch there and get like caught reaching in the cookie jar and get banned and kicked out. They were given the opportunity to make changes, and they did not.
I'll be discussing the damage this general attitude is doing to the gaming industry as a whole later. The truth is, Diablo Immortal is an excellent gameplay experience with solid moment-to-moment combat and super enjoyable hack-and-slash multiplayer moments, absolutely overshadowed by a foundation-level insidious monetization system designed to make every aspect of the game funnel the player towards spending an absolutely unacceptable amount of money. But this goes deeper than just one game. So in this video, I'll not only deeply critique Diablo Immortal, but also the behaviors of an industry and how we as players can set the boundaries for what we will and will not accept in relation to monetization. I'll show you the deep psychological and mathematical tricks games companies are using to turn video games from products you purchase and enjoy because they're designed to be fun into processes they want you to become stuck within and then keep paying for because they're designed to be inviting and then addictive.
Now, I like that he makes that distinction. That's actually something that I might co-opt and use periodically when there is a difference between making a product and making a process. He says process. Making a process and a product. This is some of my criticism of Halo Infinite. They have it set up to be a process that sort of you have to engage with, or you sort of fail to succeed. You fail to make any progress. It's not a product for you to consume in your own way, in your own decision-making, volition, and preferences. And that, I think, is a great way of framing it. A product versus a process.
We'll also be contrasting the design decisions within Diablo Immortal to Blizzard's own code of conduct and ethics on their own website. And we'll see if Diablo Immortal as a game lives up to Blizzard's own self-imposed standards. Grab a drink, because this is quite a long video. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Strife Hayes, and today we're going to look at the diabolically immoral Diablo Immortal. A big thank you to all the supporters on Patreon and Twitch who allow me to remain independent and make videos like this. I'll be looking at the general gameplay, plot, and combat, then into the absolute plethora of monetization tricks the game uses, including gentle onboarding, limited time offers causing fear of missing out, abusive pricing structures, multiple steps of conversion, multiple stacking monthly subs, cumulative login days being required for paid-for rewards, multiple progression tracks, and just straight up locking the main aspect Diablo is known for, dopamine spiking loot fountains shooting out of a boss, behind a paywall. Now, Diablo as a franchise is no stranger to monetization controversy. When Diablo 3 released, it had an actual money in-game marketplace. Players could sell their drops or buy drops from other players for actual cash. This was removed relatively quickly after extreme community backlash, as players pointed out it was against the spirit of Diablo. The endgame gameplay of Diablo revolves around repeatedly killing high-intensity bosses as they increase in difficulty for the chance of a rare drop. If you could just buy the rare drop, you'd be defeating the main gameplay loop and removing the sense of pride and accomplishment which comes with having those rare drops. Diablo 3 released on PC and console in May of 2012, and 6 years later, in 2018 at BlizzCon, players were excited to hear news about Diablo 4. But
now, I think it's really, really good for him to highlight the history here for a couple of reasons. Number one, it might start to feel like the auction house was just a little bit too early to the party, right? It was like they showed up for a costume party and no one was really in costume yet, okay? And now it's as if Blizzard is like, let's try it again and let's really try it. Let's really try to set up a monetization structure that is antithetical to the design of Diablo, okay? He's very pleasant to listen to. Yeah, Josh Strife Hayes is a fantastic content creator. He has such a good voice. The worst part about this the worst part about this video is that he's not in it. You can't see him. So I almost give it a thumbs down because he's such a good-looking guy. I'm bummed that he's not in the video. But you know, you got to respect him not using his body for clicks and views. So, oh my gosh. He's in chat. Oh my gosh. What's good, Josh? I did not know you were here. Oh man. Anyway, you could always go into a very different angle with your Patreon and content. Anyways, I do actually like that you outlined the history because I think that is very important. I think that is the concern with Diablo 4. It was the auction house like their first attempt, and is this like full bore, let's make as much money as we can? What's this mean for Diablo 4? Follow you on Twitter, saw the tweet, let's do this. So Josh, I don't know if you saw the revenue report. We looked at that yesterday on my other channel, Radio, where we just run through news reports. And I don't know if you looked at it. We compared it to Genshin, and it seems like Immortal might have had a not-so-great launch. However, it hasn't hit China yet, which the #1 mobile game is only in China. So the Chinese market could absolutely put gas in the tank if it successfully launches there. We're not sure, though. Without China, this might actually be a not-so-great mobile launch, which may make them like walk back some of the things. If they have insidious things planned for 4, we don't know yet.
But what they got was Diablo Immortal, a mobile game, and that gave us this absolute classic moment in gaming history.
Is there any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile?
I love the guys. We have to rewatch it. Watch how sad. It's so laced with sadness. Watch his face.
Plans to make this playable on PC?
Playable, please, Daddy, please. He's so sad. The Diablo Immortal Chinese Weibo account has been banned. The PR manager Twitter anti-cheese sentiment on the official. The PR manager Twitter anti-cheese sentiment on the official Diablo Weibo. Yeah, do we know why that happened yet?
Or is this strictly mobile forever?
Are there any? The current plan is to be on mobile, both Android and iOS. We don't have any plans at the moment to do PC. Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have.
I think it's important to realize BlizzCon is attended by Blizzard's biggest fans, mostly PC gamers. Warcraft, World of Warcraft, StarCraft, Diablo, and Overwatch have massive PC player bases, so very few of these people were actively excited about a mobile game. The people in that room wanted a game which would push their hardcore gaming PCs to the max and not be full of traditional mobile microtransactions and time gating mechanics. In June of 2018, 2022, Diablo Immortal released on mobile and went into open beta on PC. The PC version is a port of the mobile game and still features such lines as tap to play. The game does feature cross-platform play, so mobile and PC players can adventure together, provided they're on the same server, because it does not have cross-server play. So I downloaded the game on PC and gave it a go. The first warning cry from everyone said, "The game can track your face through your phone app or your webcam." Now, this rumour began when the installation files were opened up and people found face detector and face analyzer.dll. Some people said the game has face tracking capabilities because it's required for release in China to conform to the strict gaming laws. However, the lead dev Adam Fletcher explains they're actually leftover files from an early idea in Diablo Immortal's development. Originally, the game would let you recreate your own facial expression on your character by using your own camera. This idea has been abandoned because it was terrible.
Because it was terrible. I actually, as a creator, orator, debater, somebody that likes to do discussions and arguments, I actually really like that Josh did this, because something I have noticed over the years is if you forget to mention something, you will get absolutely just berated for it in the comments. So there was probably 1,000 people waiting in the wings to watch this video to be like, "You didn't talk about the facial thing. They're trying to track our eyeballs and hack our brains." And he's like, okay, yeah, it was there. They addressed it. It's not actually there. You might think, what's the point in putting that segment in there to say there were these files that was abandoned, they're not actually doing it? Well, he may answer why he did it. I would do it because you don't want to hear from all of the people that are going to be filling your comment section with stuff that's not true. Because you know how the internet is, right? They're tracking our faces. They obviously wanted to for some reason and then opted not to.
Intro movie plays, Tyrael talks about the World Stone, some greater evil, and then we get this absolute banger of a line.
If humanity is to survive, they must stand together and face the rising darkness.
Yeah, we made sure at the beginning of this, Josh, I told everybody to go watch your Addendum. I said, we're not going to watch the Addendum. Go give that video some love. This thing's going to hit 2 mil easy. Your other one's in the 500,000s. Go give the Addendum some love. He already made an Addendum, which I guess you can make an addendum to the Addendum. An infinitude of addendums.
I find it beautifully ironic that Diablo Immortal opens with a call for players to rally together against a rising evil, and the main thing it's inspired people to do is come together against its atrocious pricing model. What a meta way to succeed. Get told to tap the screen because porting mobile games to PC is hard, and then choose a class. 6 classes, I'm going with my edgy boy, the Demon Hunter. The customization is actually really nice. We move some sliders. Unfortunately, these do not matter at all because you'll never look at your own face or any other character's face. We're then on a boat to Wortham. The game is fully voiced and it's not terribly acted.
Gone through hell, you say? I'm in the right place then.
Aye. Follow the road and be on your guard. Unfortunate things happen to travellers in that forest.
Movement is WASD or left click. Primary attacking is also left click, but you'll only attack when your cursor is over an enemy. This can mean clicking to move, especially in a crowd of enemies, is a bad idea because you'll end up attacking instead of moving. It also means you'll frequently lose your cursor in the chaos of battle and end up randomly running around or attacking off to the side somewhere while you try and find it again. It also means once you've killed whatever it was you were attacking, if you continue holding down left click, you'll start running toward that location. Your other skills are bound to the 2, 3, and 4 keys. We'll look at combat later because honestly it's great. If you've
Okay, the only thing missing here is controller, which not everybody plays on a controller. I'm just going to add, I don't think he needed to include controller. I'm going to add that I think the game, once I played Diablo 3 especially with a controller, I think Diablo just plays so beautifully on a controller. The only time it can get a little funky is when you have to place attacks, drop from the sky attacks, with the little tracker. I thought Diablo Immortal did a fantastic job of making controller feel phenomenal. I thought they did an excellent job with that aspect of combat. Mouse and keyboard, if you're curious about it, he did make some criticisms there about how it feels. I think Diablo I grew up playing Diablo 1 and 2 mouse and keyboard, and the first time I played Diablo 3 with a controller, I was like, oh my gosh, this is just exactly how these games should play. I remember when I switched from mouse and keyboard to controller in Lost Ark, it felt really, really good. So I think that's missing, but not necessary from this section on controls. Played Diablo 3 on console. It was great fun. Yeah, the controller support is good. I don't think that's important to the video, though. The video is about the monetization practices, so it's fine that that's not in here.
Never played a Diablo game? Here's a basic rundown. Demons exist and you'd really rather they didn't. You can realize your dream of a demon-free world through the power of friendship and incredible violence. Eventually angels get involved, but the power of heaven is nothing compared to the power of one angry man with an axe or a moody guy with some crossbows. One thing I do have to praise the game for is capturing the feeling of Diablo while being made in a completely different engine. Diablo 3 was created in a customized version of the Havoc engine, while Diablo Immortal is made in NetEase's own Messiah engine. They've managed to capture the feeling of movement, skill use, and attack impact spot on.
I will say I actually thought combat was great, but needs a dodge. I don't know how difficult the game even gets because it is designed for mobile, and there's only so much you can do with mobile controls, so they have to kind of maybe dial back. Like, a lot of the enemy attack telegraphs are, like, super easy to read because the windups are huge, but there were times where I felt like I just couldn't get away. The attacks were too quick. I would see it coming, and my character wouldn't be able to move quick enough to get away. It was almost like guaranteed damage. I don't know how much that plays a role in late-game Diablo Immortal because we stopped covering it and playing it once we saw it, for what it was. It wasn't like low-level pay-to-win. It was rampant and insidious, so we just completely put the game down, leaving, expert coverage like this to do the job. However, I did feel that combat was lacking. Just a simple dodge would have been amazing. The Demon Hunter, I actually had a dodge. Right, if you watch Demon Hunter gameplay, he has that dodge, and it honestly changes combat significantly. I was playing as a... What was I playing as? I don't even remember. Oh, the Crusader. Yeah, like the Paladin, basically. That would be one thing I would love to see them change. I'm pretty sure Diablo 4 does give you a dodge with a cooldown, I think, that hopefully will take some of the combat intensity up. There's nothing like seeing an attack coming and getting out of the way at just the right moment. I've always felt like moment-to-moment combat feels so much better when you have those little moments strewn throughout. The grapple swing counts as a dodge. That's probably why I didn't even consider it. Yes. Yeah, if you only play as Demon Hunter, actually go and play not as a Demon Hunter, and you'll immediately miss that dodge. Because there were so many attacks that I felt, man, oh man, I've either got to leave super, super early, or I literally don't have a chance to get away. So that's actually a criticism of combat that, again, I don't think is pertinent to the video, because this video is primarily about the monetization practices. So
enemies and pick up loot. Annoying, you can't click on an item's nameplate, you have to click on the item itself. Your inventory is the classic Diablo style of a square grid with larger items taking up multiple grid slots. As you fight on, enemies will drop red health orbs or blue mana orbs, sometimes power-up orbs like increased speed or lightning damage. Along with this, you have 3 health potions which recharge when you kill enemies. This game design lends itself to fast, aggressive combat encountered because you are rewarded for being aggressive, so the energy is always high. We make our way to the town of Wortham, get followed through a portal by some demon, and told...
Weep and despair.
Trust me, mate, once I explain the monetization, you definitely will. We head into the chapel and meet our old friend Deckard Cain, so we decide to stay a while and listen.
My name is Deckard Cain.
they changed his voice too. It's like, stay a while and listen. Like, it's supposed to sound, it doesn't quite sound like Deckard, you know? It's, the monetization in this game is designed to bleed you dry, so buckle the up.
I'm a bit of a traveling scholar, one might say.
Basically, hell's coming back and we're going to prevent it with the power of crossbows. Fight some cultists to the west and discover sometimes the left mouse button gets stuck down, even if you're not clicking, making your character follow the cursor, and other times it just doesn't register. Possibly lag, but honestly, in 2 days of near constant play, I didn't experience that many connection issues. Kill a dragon thing and find a shard of the world stone, magical MacGuffins hell really wants and we need to destroy. Think of them like demonic batteries, and like regular batteries, you shouldn't throw them in the regular bin, so we're on a quest to find a responsible possible way to dispose of them. Kane tells us the demon we're fighting is called Skarn. This means we're now at threat level midnight, so we set off to destroy more of the shards of the World Stone before hell can plug them into more demons. Quick intro video explains the map, and we're sent off to help someone with something, and the game asks, hey, you want to spend 89p for some orbs and a weapons skin?
I'm surprised that you would reference the American version of The Office, so I'm not sure how quickly you're going to get deported for that, Josh. But that's a bold move. It's a bold move as a Brit.
I keep track of every time the game gives me the opportunity to spend money. This is the first, and I'm going to do a deep dive into the currencies and the systems they relate to later on in this video. Once you have a few quests, you'll get the quest list on the left. Click on a quest to select it, and you'll see a sparkling footstep path leading you to it. If you're far enough into an area, you'll unlock auto-navigation within that area. Using auto-navigate will either run or automatically teleport you to the nearest teleport point and then run the rest of the way. I also discover the first Kill of the Day award. So let's rip this band-aid off right now. Diablo Immortal is a mobile game and is designed to build habits, to create attachment, and to encourage daily replay. You have an oppressive number of tracked systems, login rewards, first kill awards, advancement paths, some free, some paid, some upgradable. You have achievements and advancements through every single zone and rewards for killing enough monsters and doing enough dungeons, and each of these systems is tracked on a different screen with a different UI, and it's made this way by design. You're not meant to be able to remember everything you have to do, so the game can give you these little red gem icons to the top right of buttons to remind you you have something to collect, and you'll often find yourself spending more time in endless menus collecting rewards than you will in an actual rift.
I love that this is really good content loop dissection, because that drove me nuts when I was playing. It was like, I just want to do stuff. I don't want to click away. Like, the video games that put an exclamation point next to everything, it's like, can you stop that? That's what this game did a handful of times. So I'm really glad that this got dissected in the video, because it does have a wonderful content loop. It is amazing, like Diablo moment-to-moment combat and all of that, but that UI stuff can get extremely annoying and cumbersome. It's like when you start out a brand new game and it's like, go here, click this, go here, click this, and you're like living in a tutorial. It felt that way at times.
We chase down some mage, we watch her throw a dude off a bridge, and then meet this guard who says this.
Oh, what a day. Certainly didn't expect to get choked by some death mage when I left the stead this morning.
None of us wake up expecting to be choked by a death mage, but sometimes you just get lucky and it happens. To interact with another player, hold Alt and left click on them. You can send messages, friend requests, and party invitations, but you cannot directly trade player to player because trading is done via the auction house and requires the premium currency of platinum to do. Quick PC issue. This is the salvage menu where you turn your unwanted equipment into scrap. The mouse wheel does not move this window. You need to click and drag. If you're going to release on PC, please let us use the scroll wheel. Also,
the scroll wheel thing is so funny. Is so funny because it literally took me 20 minutes to figure it out. I'd been playing. I'm like, guys, I just can't scroll down to the rest of my inventory. I don't know if I have any green arrows. And then finally, I accidentally clicked and I clicked and drug the thing. It's click and drag. And yeah, it's amazing to me. This port is so apparently last minute. It's just, you can just feel it. The American office is so much better. Wow, he's just brazenly... Valiant, another Brit, says the American office is acceptable in the UK. It's one of the few things that gets a pass. Okay. Probably because you guys deep down think that we made this. This is here because of us. You know, that's probably why you accept it. That's my guess. I watched this video on Josh's channel recently, Always Solid Vids. Yeah.
Consider using right-click, because as it stands, right-click does absolutely nothing. A free daily reward pack accessed via the shop menu. This is a psychological marketing trick. If you're going to give the player something for free, make sure to claim it. They have to access a place where there is paid stuff, because then they will see the paid stuff every day, and if they're returning to this screen for their free daily pack, it's only a matter of time until someone gets tempted to spend money. You're not...
All right, give me 1 second. 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 Okay, sorry. My kids are not getting along. My wife stepped out for all of 20 minutes. So this will probably be the only spot in the video where I don't necessarily disagree, but I diverge a little bit here. I actually don't. Let's imagine this is in another game, Splitgate or something. I don't mind having daily free items or daily free logins or whatever that reminds you, hey, we have a store with stuff in it, right? Imagine a cosmetic store or something, and you go and get your daily coins or whatever they do in Splitgate. I actually don't mind that. I don't see that as a problem. I think when you attach it to a monster of this size, it's just part of the insidious nature. In a more well-designed game, if a game has its monetization designed in a better way, I don't think this is a problem. I think when it's attached to this game, though, that's when I think there's nothing wrong with this section. But I, for one, I'm not going to get on a game company trying to make money by saying, hey, you get a free thing every day, and they put it in their store. Because if the store is set up in a good way, I don't think there's anything wrong with, especially like a free-to-play game, reminding people there's a cosmetic store or whatever.
Not putting this free pack here because it makes logistical sense, you're putting it here because it's tempting. I then get a free cosmetic set sent to me in the mail. Everyone gets this. It's to celebrate 30 million pre-registrations. 30 million pre-registrations. If you ever wonder why mobile games are so pushed, it's because the horrible truth is the mobile gaming market is bigger than the PC and console gaming market combined. As you progress through the main story, you'll unlock bounties, an open-world hunting system. Hunt down certain enemies and get increased rewards for killing them. You can claim 8 bounties a day from the bounty board. My current bounty target is Philip, so the plan is grab Mum, kill Phil, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint and wait for all this to blow over. I'm picking up new equipment every few minutes, and on the inventory screen there's a handy-dandy green arrow showing you if a new piece is better than an old piece. Many people will tell you that Diablo begins at 60, because until then you'll be finding upgrades so quickly you won't even read the name or look at the stats of any individual bit. You'll just do as the green arrow commands. But if you're a free player, I would argue the real game begins around level 35 when the leveling suddenly slows to a crawl, but we'll see more of that later.
So, thank you so much for hitting a 2-month milestone, Geek to Sneak. Guys, don't forget, we have a huge member goal. We're in like the 1600s right now. If we hit 2,000 members, we will do an episode, Star Wars Episode 1 watch party with my wife for members. So if you're sitting on the fence as a member, gifting member, or renewing, thanks for pushing us even closer to that goal. We can only do that goal in June because the membership count will drop quite a bit next month when all the gifteds have the chance to renew or not. However, this is one thing that people criticized about the game that I am always totally fine with. I'm a man of simple tastes. I like to play games kind of like a simpleton sometimes. I don't want to go look at stats. I don't want to go crunch numbers. So doing as the green arrow dictates, as he said, I actually think is exactly the right design choice for a game targeted at mobile. So he didn't say it, I don't think, in a critical way, but there were people that were critical of that. They're like, this isn't really Diablo, you're not really analyzing stats, you're not really analyzing this or that. And I'm like, I actually think that's contextually fine, but in Diablo 4, I'm imagining from the screenshots that we've seen and the gear that we've seen, it won't be quite as simple the later in the game that you get. You will be analyzing set bonuses, stats, and numbers, but this game is just kind of always following that green arrow. If you can spend it, and there are influences in the game trying to get you to mentally manipulate you to do so, and when there's no cap on short-term spending, that can be a pretty big issue. Who's spending that kind of money on in-game stuff anyway? You would be shocked at the money spent in these environments by people. It's like they're calling it a hobby is probably a disservice to the word hobby, but it's essentially in their life a hobby.
I unlock the extremely awesome grapple skill, letting me blast around the battlefield like a more violent Spider-Man, and global chat has descended into an argument about pay-to-win versus free-to-play. So while I'm madly grappling around, let me make my stance on this game rather clear. No one has said they expect this game to be 100% free. No one expects any video game to have no way to make money whatsoever. Indeed, if it was a one-time paid game with a cosmetic-only cash shop, I'd be recommending this to everyone. No one has an issue with Diablo Immortal attempting to make money. We know that development time and server hosting costs money. The issue I have is the way it is making it and the position it is putting players into if they don't pay. The game is not a product, because a product is usually released finished and then sold for the cost the company think it is worth. If that cost is fair, people will pay it and then that process is complete. Diablo Immortal is a process itself of downloading, playing and advancing, and it wants players to stay within that process as long as possible, because unlike a product which is sold once, a process can contain many moments it encourages the player to pay. And each individual payment may only be small, but they very quickly add up to greater than the cost of a one-time purchase. When I talk about the payment issues, people respond with a well-rehearsed retort of, well, I'm having fun. And I think it's vital if you do respond with, well, I'm having fun. Good. We are all glad. No one wants you to stop having fun.
I like this. This is a well-crafted video when you're preemptively pushing against the common retorts and the common things that people say, right? This is something that I think makes for a good video, because if not, what ends up happening is you just monologue and then you get all the pushback in the comments. I actually like I love preemptive pushback. I love preemptive response. I think that's a very good way to structure the video. I've been doing this for 8 years, and debates and discussions, one of the tiring things about it is it's almost like everybody's reading from a certain playbook or script. They're going to constantly come in and say, but I'm having fun, or, well, my game didn't do that, or, whatever the case may be. So I think the way that Josh couches this is very good. Like, nobody wants you to stop having fun. It's about the way the game treats people. It's about the way the game actually treats you. Like, if you're having fun, the real danger in my mind is that if you're having fun, then that road could come to an end because of the design of the game, okay? So you could actually have your fun and your investment pitted against you. That's always the real true nature of these types of games. I've always called it the art of the squeeze. They start to squeeze the player and you can't progress. They bottleneck your progression. They slow things down. And now your sense of investment, your sense of sunk cost is actually pitted against you, so you feel compelled, you feel sort of like passively coerced to spend money. So the real concern is not, oh, you're having fun, there's no problem. It's how long will you continue to have fun? I hate that argument more than anything, but I'm having fun, that's great, I'm happy for you. But you can still have fun and be knowledgeable. Yes, exactly.
What we want is the company to treat you better. If your attitude is, I don't care about the money, I'm just focusing on the game, then please understand we're actually advocating for the company to have the same attitude as you. Focus on making the game as fun as it can be, and people will buy it because it's fun. Not because you've designed it to be as close to fun as possible so it keeps players around, but not too much fun that they can enjoy it completely without paying. Blizzard's first what we stand for is gameplay first, which literally says to make our games as fun as possible. We're not saying Diablo Immortal shouldn't be monetized. We're saying it shouldn't be abusively monetized. We push on and go and kill Leoric, because it's not a real Diablo game until you've killed Leoric. During this part, I unlock the Battle Pass and the Boon of Plenty in the shop, and when I finish the Leoric dungeon, I'm presented with the exciting opportunity to spend more money to buy the Mad King's Breach bundle, a one-time reward specific to this dungeon. Your reward for finishing a dungeon is the opportunity to spend money.
This is just sort of the beginning of, I think, of the issues with the game corrupting gameplay, right? It would be one thing if Diablo Immortal was sort of this game and you could play it, and then you had this offshoot store over here that was pay to win, and we would criticize that and say that's bad, and that's corrupting to a PvP environment, that's corrupting to the identity of the game. But the thing that we have to start to realize and acknowledge is it's so game flow disrupting. It's even, I would even say it's game genre disrupting. Like, the identity of the game has been disrupted to say, hey, you just won this thing, would you like to buy a better prize? Imagine, playing a game at the fair and you knock all the milk cans down, and the guy says, hey, congratulations, and instead of handing you the big teddy bear, he says, you now have the opportunity to buy one of the prizes. You'd be like, wait, I don't understand. The spirit of the game, the presumption that you had going into play the game where you throw the baseball and knock down the milk bottles or whatever you call them, that the spirit of that is immediately corrupted if you're like, what the like I'm being given the opportunity to spend money. So like, well, I'll give you a stick of gum, or you can spend money to buy a better prize. That's the problem. This is disrupting to the actual genre of the game. Yo, Peepo just gifted 5 memberships, pushing us a little bit closer to that crazy goal of 2,000 members. Guys, if you can hear my voice, click in chat to allow gifts, claim those 5 gifted members.
This happens in every dungeon, and you'll notice the costs of the pack slowly increase.
This was the thing that I didn't realize because I didn't play long enough. This is actually bonkers to me. Like, look at it. It gets all the way to $8.99, so that's pounds. So, obviously we have to shake that out, tea bags to coffee grounds, like whatever that equals in American currency. But still, the fact that it practically doubles by the time you get to the one above me, Rapids Trove. There we go. Atlas, Jackarama, Peter. 3 people have already grabbed. Guys, grab those gifted memberships, man. A lot of you must already have memberships, or you can't. There we go. Hank the Tank got one left.
Because it's only 89p when you finish one dungeon, that's fine. But once you've spent 89p, you're invested, which means they can make things more and more expensive until they stop giving you any real discount for buying the dungeon packs, but you're still doing it because by then, not buying it would be wasting the money you've previously spent. This is effectively the sunk cost fallacy. Twitter user Mr. GM made this mock-up of a picture. Just imagine if finishing a dungeon for the first time in World of Warcraft rewarded you with the opportunity to spend money to unlock extra rewards. I'm going to come back to this later and fully explain the Battle Pass and Boon of Plenty, because when you read the fine print, it is even worse than it seems. The demon effect under the glass floor, however, is awesome, and the boss fight itself is great. More story. We kill Lethes, but not really. Who's Lethes, you ask? No one cares. Doesn't matter. The story in a Diablo game is background music. It's set dressing. Many times you'll be introduced to a character, go on a quest with them, then watch them die in a heart-wrenching hero's death. They'll sacrifice themselves for a greater cause, and you're expected to care. And I'm thinking, mate, I've known you 10 minutes. The only reason I remember your name is because it's above your head while you're dying.
So I noticed the same thing when I was playing. I actually 100% agree. Other people don't agree with this. There are people that are split on this. They think the story is super important. There needs to be, depth and severity, and and the story should be significantly better, or the story really matters, right? And in this game, I literally am just clicking. I literally click that skip, that thing up in the corner. I click to skip all the dialogue. I don't care, man. I just want to kill stuff. I just want to do, as I say, I want to do looties and shooties, right? I just want to kill enemies and get loot. I've never cared about story in games like this. So, but I did start to notice that weird trope. I don't even know how I'd call it a trope. It was just like this dialed-in narrative element where they kept saying, here's this person, and you're like, oh, hey, how are you? And they're like, I'm great. And then a minute later, they're dead. And you're like, oh, okay. They did that in Outriders a couple of times. And Sweat, yeah, thank you. Sweat got the last gifted membership. Thank you so much, Peepo, for gifting those 5 members. Everyone needs to get over this. It's a trashy mobile game created by a trashy mobile game dev that Blizzard licensed their IP to. It's no deeper than that. I would be a little worried that that's too simplistic of a view of it. I actually think it's far more serious than just that. Yeah, stabby and grabby. Looties and shooties and stabby and grabby. Stabby and grabby sounds a little creepy, though, Zubair. Not surprising you came up with it.
We now unlock legendary gem crafting, and this is the system we'll be pouring most of our wallet into later. We now learn about sockets, gems, elder rifts, and crests, so this is probably the time to talk about the game's main system, the elder rifts, and how they're going to cost you an incredible amount of money to do efficiently. In fact, if you complete one rift every 5 minutes and want the best loot from them, you'll be spending around £240 an hour to grind this game. Let me break that down for you. While Diablo Immortal does have a main campaign storyline, time, and indeed you are required to finish this to unlock the Hell Plus difficulty in Rifts, the majority of your gameplay, both grinding and post-story, will be in an Elder Rift. An Elder Rift is a procedurally generated dungeon you can enter solo or in a team of up to 4. There is a party finding mechanic, but remember, it's cross-platform play, not cross-server. As we discovered when Callum Upton, a fellow YouTuber and good friend of mine, made a character. Currently, there is no way to transfer your character from one server to another. You just need to restart. While in a Rift, you'll see a timer to the left. The little hourglass symbol moves along the bar from left to right. As you kill enemies, the bar itself fills up. When the bar is full, the boss will spawn. Kill the boss before the timer runs out to get the loot, leave, and repeat. This is the absolute core of the PvE Diablo experience. Grind enemies for better equipment to grind enemies better. But before you start a Rift, you can choose to add in crests, either normal or legendary. Adding crests increases the chance higher rarity loot will drop from the boss kill. You can see the potential loot increase as you add crests. Now, seeing as the crest screen shows 3 empty slots on the right hand side and shows 0 out of 3, you'd assume that each player can add up to 3 crests. Well, no, they can add way more, but it's hidden, and we'll come to that later. Loot in Diablo Immortal is personal. No other player can steal your rare or legendary loot. Now, adding in legendary crests as a player always guarantees you a legendary item, but it does also give a slight boost to the other players in your party and increases their chance to receive runestones or fading embers, both intermediate upgrade currencies. This has led to the rather toxic situation of parties kicking players who aren't using crests because they feel those non-cresting players are not paying their way.
That's when that's when your community is naturally grooming itself for spending. They're like, "You what, mate? You're not spent," and then you just kick them out. It's like you're not spending any money, so get out. Like it was like when Devastators were getting kicked from parties in Outriders, but actually worse. You have to pay for friendship. Even the friendship costs money in Diablo Immortal. Friendship's not even free in this game. So, yeah, so for those of you that are asking, Josh did a great job running down the rift system in Diablo Immortal. Yep, exactly. Very similar to Diablo 3, and that is a brilliant loot cycle. It's a brilliant content loop. It really, really is. And the fact that they have that as the more heavily monetized section of the game is not surprising, because it's where people are going to spend a massive amount of time. And in a moment, he will show you the dramatic difference between when you spend and you don't spend. There was the infamous clip of Asmongold doing the same thing. It is so stark. It is night and day. Saying it's a night and day difference is an understatement.
Using crests always benefits you and sometimes helps the party. You cannot lose your drop potential to another player, but to truly understand the absolute insidious nature of how powerful these legendary crests are and why they are considered pay to win and how much money you can end up spending on them, we need to understand how the other currency systems work, because the crests feed into almost everything else. So we need to take a look at the very foundation of the monetization system for context. Now, the game itself is a tangled web of interwoven systems which all relate to each other, and it's designed that way to hide the actual monetary cost of any single system. Because of this spiderweb design, it's very difficult to find a starting point, so hold on, because this might get complicated while I break it down. I have so far experienced in Diablo Immortal 22 different currencies and raw materials used to feed into various shops and upgrade systems. They are: gold, dropped from enemies, used in upgrading equipment. Eternal orbs, premium buyable currency, used for buying things in the shop. Platinum, used in the market board for posting and buying items player to player, bought with eternal orbs. Battle points, used to progress the battle pass and earn the battle pass rewards, earned by completing rifts, dungeons, or bought directly with eternal orbs. Scrap materials, used to upgrade items earned from salvaging unneeded equipment at the blacksmith. Hilts, spend at the hilt merchant on limited monthly or weekly stock, earned by progressing the battle pass. Normal gems, combined to upgrade non-legendary gems, bought from the hilt merchant, found in rifts when using normal crests, and made by combining runes at the apprentice jewelers. Runes, dropped in rifts when you are using crests or someone in your party is using a legendary crest. I have so far found 21 different runes. Garnet, Sapphire and Beryl, 3 gems which all combine to upgrade the Legacy of the Haradrim, a system which you unlock once you're level 49 and have completed 10 challenge rifts. Crests improve rift drops slightly. You get 1 free a day bought from the hilt merchant, sometimes earned on the battle pass. Legendary crests improve rift drops by a lot and guarantee a legendary, bought from the cash shop for orbs or found in the premium shop dungeon chest, unlocked after you finish that dungeon. You can also buy 1 a month from the hilt merchant using in-game currency or earn 2 on the battle pass. The Sigil of Dominance advances your Immortal standing, a higher level endgame faction. Enchanted Dust, an upgrade material used on higher level item upgrades found by salvaging rare equipment. Reinforcing Stones, re-rolling attributes on equipment bought in the cash shop. Aspirant's Keys unlock rare chests in dungeons earnable on the battle pass. Scoria, found when fighting Heliquary demons and refined into Hellfire Scoria at the blacksmith. Hellfire Scoria upgrades the Heliquary, a repository of demonic power you add to by defeating demons and provides you passive buffs. Legendary Gem Fragments, which combine into legendary gems found in rifts when crests are used and also sometimes on the battle pass. Enigmatic Crystals upgrades your secondary slot items found in challenge rifts and bought from the materials vendor for scrap pieces. Monster Essence upgrades the Haradric Altar dropped by monsters in the overworld randomly. Fading Embers earned from rifts and used to buy basic gems at the merchants, and Echo Crystals bought from the crystal merchant for 500 platinum and used to upgrade runes beyond level 5. So,
Okay. So, whether this was Josh's idea or I don't know if he uses an editor, he could inform us in chat. I love the subversive message here is that the more currency he delineates and describes, the more you can't see the gameplay. It's like such an unspoken message of this is all getting in the way of gameplay, right? The gameplay in the background, we're watching him play and flip around, and slowly but surely we can't even see him playing anymore. It just gets, this is all we see now is currency. And I love that. Whether that was intentional or not, I feel like this is a very, good subconscious and subversive way to show people this is all so disruptive to gameplay and makes it... Oh, you edited this video. Oh, gosh. Well, good job. I love that. I thought that was such a clever way to get to... Because you could have just gone to a screen and shown all these and, highlighted them or whatever, but, slowly adding them I thought was very good. And... This does so many things to the player. Number one, it's just confusing. You're like, I can't keep track of it all. Even as he reads it all, I wouldn't be surprised if it's tough to remember what does what, okay? Which thing is helpful for which item, which thing is helpful for which piece of the game. I'm glad you picked up on that visual metaphor. Okay, cool. You did it on purpose. Yeah, I loved that. I was like, that's so clever because you just slowly can't even see what in the world's going on. It's so confusing. It's like, I don't even know what all this stuff is for. Even after he reads it, I'm sure he forgets what certain things do and how to use them and how much does it cost and, how much money did I actually spend on that? And then the real thing that this does is, so at one level, every game does the currency divide. And the currency divide is where you buy little glowy chips, and then those little glowy chips are how you buy the things. And it creates a disassociation. You're no longer thinking about the fact that you're spending money. You have a certain amount of V-Bucks in Fortnite, as an example. So it creates this disassociation, so you don't necessarily feel like you're spending money. It makes it easier for you to spend all your V-Bucks, and now you need more V-Bucks, okay? That's a small divide. That's the most common divide you're going to see. That currency divide of, if you saw $5 and $20 every time, it would remind your brain that you're spending money, and you're more apt to protect your actual money and currency. You're less apt to do that with made-up fantasy currency. But when you look at this game, what this does is it creates a divide that's the size of the Grand Canyon. You're never going to be able to connect the value of the money spent with the things received. It's not hard in Fortnite to know you just spent $15 on a skin. The connection's close enough that if somebody asked you, what did you get for $20? You'd be like, well, I bought a skin, I bought a back bling, I bought the enhanced battle pass, whatever the heck. There's a direct connection. The division here is so broad that you're never going to be able to tell somebody, here's how much money I spent, and here's all my stuff that I got for the money that I spent. It would be almost impossible. You'd have to create some type of a spreadsheet with rule sets to track the currency bought, the actual literal money spent, and then track the things that you get as a result. And keep in mind, this is all seasonally based, so it would only be for that particular season that you would get those items. So even if you got to the point where you could do that, you would still, I think, have a hard time drawing those connections. That's why I think this is a very good part of the video to showcase, listen, even if you do start spending money, you're going to have a heck of a time keeping track of what you actually got for the money. This is one of the reasons why I've said we should be 100% supporting of games that do like the battle pass and the cosmetics, because there's almost always a very traceable one-to-one connection of value, like you spent this much money and this is what you got for it. I think that is what we should be, praising. And I'm not saying you have to support and go spend money, but microtransactions are here. We should really be saying these are the types that are okay, these are the types that are not okay, because this falls in line with what we were debating about before we came over here. When we were at the end of the Evil West gameplay, we started debating when laws are going to start to be instituted. And I said the primary thing that I see the American government or any government getting involved in saying is the consumer needs to be informed. Because an informed consumer is inherently a protected consumer, because you know what you're spending your money on. If you buy a soda that's got a ridiculous amount of sugar and caffeine in it, or a ridiculous amount of unhealthy ingredients, as long as you know, you are inherently protected. Now, you're not protected because it's not a paternalistic nanny state, telling you can't buy that soda, but you are at least informed. And so an informed consumer in a video game like this needs to be able to track and know how much they spent and what they got for their money. And I feel this game fails at the basic consumer business relationship. I feel that Blizzard is absolutely fundamentally failing at that level, and just the number of currencies puts that on display.
22 currencies and upgrade materials, most of them linked directly to the progression of the Battle Pass, which itself requires battle points, which are farmed most efficiently by completing rifts. So now we can go back and look at legendary crests. And this is where it gets both psychologically and mathematically abusive. Legendary crests are sold in the shop for orbs. Orbs are bought in specific pack sizes. A legendary crest costs 160 orbs. The shop sells orbs in packs of 60 or 315. There are higher, but let's look at these for now. 60 is too few, and 315 is only 5 orbs shy of 320, which is how many we need to afford 2 legendary crests. This is by design. When a player opens the shop and they've already committed to buying something, the game doesn't want you to consider how much you're buying, but how much you need for the next efficient purchase, because that's always going to be a much lower number. So a player won't think, I'm buying 315 orbs. They'll think, I'm only 5 orbs short of 2 crests. So they'll look into the larger $8.99 pack, which has 630 orbs. That may seem like a random number to add, but it's remarkably specific, because 4 legendary crests at 160 orbs each costs 640 orbs, meaning even with that pack you're now 10 short. But that's only 10. You may as well buy the bigger pack, which only...
Now, sometimes... So, it's almost humorous. It's so bad. The fact that it's 640 and they have it set to be 630 is just remarkable. Now, sometimes I've defended this type of practice, and let me explain when I defend it. So I defend it when you have a shop like Halo Infinite or Destiny or something, where there's varying items of varying prices, and you can't just buy that exact amount of currency, right? I've usually said that's not that big of a deal, because typically, you buy $20 worth of the currency and you can buy a $17 item, and now you have $3 left. Well, that $3 left is going to motivate you to buy more of the currency, right? I generally don't get that upset about that, because that's just how most cash shops are set up. I think that most people understand what they're doing when they buy that currency, as well as you could spend that $3 left of the currency on some small item, okay? So typically, I'm not too upset by this. This is a very common practice. Again, the consumer knows what they're getting into. They're informed. When the currency divide is much smaller, I don't think this is as big of a deal because you spend $20 for the Halo Infinite currency and you buy like a $17 item, that $3 left over. You can use that on cheaper items. You have that ability if you want. You're not being, they're not holding your currency hostage or something. This, however, is far more insidious and far worse because it is literally directly tied to the Legendary Crest system, and they have it set up perfectly mathematically to not be a good value transmission to the customer, right? If this one up here was 640, and that's a more direct value transmission. The game would still be horrible and awful and pay to win predatory, but like this just basically is them admitting like we don't give a frick about the consumer. You're gonna spend this and be like, oh, I'm 10 short, right? You're gonna feel that nudge to go up. He continues to outline that in the next few moments.
Only costs £22 and gets you 1,650 orbs. A player isn't thinking, I've just bought 1,650. They're thinking, I only need 5, and then I only need 10. And once you've bought the 1,650, wouldn't you know it, there's actually a button on the Legendary Crest screen to buy 10 crests for 1,600 orbs. Super convenient. It's almost like everything is designed to flow into buying that £22 orb pack, and then spending that on 10 Legendary Crests. So now you have 10 crests, because you've been able to justify only needing 5, then only needing 10. This is abusive pricing. Now, adding a crest to a rift increases the drops a little, and adding a legendary guarantees a decent drop. The shop even explains, adding a legendary is guaranteed to reward a legendary gem that can be sold on the market. Now, you need platinum for the market, but don't worry about that right now. You've got 10 crests. You start a rift and you see 3 crest slots. This means you'll be able to run 3 rifts on maxed crests and have 1 left over, right? Well, no, because if you do put 3 legendary crests into those slots, a new option appears. An option you will never find until you do this. It asks, hey, want to add another 7 for the maxed enhanced Elder Rift experience? There is no way to even find out that you can add 10 legendary crests in-game until you add the first 3.
That is absolutely, by the way, this is Callum Upton. He's giving him credit up in the corner, a friend of his, I believe streaming on Twitch here, if you want to support him as well. Callum Upton, name spelling right on the screen. Yeah, so this is insane to me. This is an absolute sucker punch. So what they do here that I actually have a severe problem with is they're setting the expectation that, yeah, he's just in utter disbelief. Like, he's holding back the tears. The problem with this is this is blatant deception. Okay? I don't think I can call it anything else. You've essentially set the expectation that if you get 10 crests, you're going to be able to maximize the crest run and run 3 rifts. Okay? And that feels like to you at the time, you've judged and you've determined in your brain that that's a good value transmission. You've just spent £22. You've just spent roughly $20-something American. And you now think in your mind, this is 3 maximized rifts with 1 left over, okay? Only to find out that that's not true. You find out that all 10 crests is actually the maximum way to run a rift. So I don't even know how to, I can't think of a freaking analogy because it's so dadgum bad. You're buying, you feel like you're buying tickets to do something 3 times only to find out that you actually need all of those tickets to get the maximum value. It's a total sucker punch. It's an absolute sucker punch, total smoke and mirrors nonsense. This is absolutely abhorrent. They should not be able to do this sort of thing, but what are you going to do? Like, there's no rules, there's no regulations about this sort of thing. The consumer has an expectation that is immediately subverted, not during or prior to, but after they have spent their money. This should be completely and utterly rejected as a practice.
And isn't it convenient that 10 crests can be added in a single run, and the orb pack size that's most convenient psychologically was designed to make you buy 10 crests? But what actually happens if you add 10 crests to a run? Callum Upton and myself spent 2 days playing this game as free players, seeing how far we could progress without spending any money. And at around level 35, the experience required to level up increases sharply. In the first day, I went from level 1 to 40, and in a second day of nothing but endless grinding, I went from 40 to 49.
Now, I don't know if he's highlighting that as a problem. That's actually fairly common, that your first half of leveling is really quick and then the back half slows down. That's never been, I don't think, a significant problem. I think it was a problem in New World because it slowed down too significantly. It felt like it was impossible to progress. It felt like a complete waste of your time. I also don't know how many hours he was putting in, but going, from 1 to 40 very quickly and 40 to 49 quite slower, that's still 9 levels. I don't know if he's highlighting that to say this is a problem, maybe just to inform you. I don't think that's necessarily bad or bad game design. That's actually pretty common in games like this. It slows down in the back half. It's like going to a steakhouse and ordering a ribeye, and then they show you the secret menu that has A5 Wagyu ribeye, and you can now order after purchasing the regular. Yeah, it's so hard to come up with an analogy because every other analogy just sounds that sounds like a fantasy. It sounds ludicrous. It sounds so beyond reality.
During a stream, after 2 hours of Elder Rift runs, averaging about 5 minutes per run and only seeing a few rare items, a viewer donated Callum £20 on the agreement Callum would spend it on 10 legendary crests and use them, just to see the loot difference. Here's a compilation of boss drops without using any crests. This is the average experience a free player will have when they finish a rift.
Okay, I'm going to mute it just because it's loud. So the thing you're going to notice, this is going to be very, very similar. This is going to be very, very similar. He doesn't talk during this section. This is going to be very similar to the clip you may have seen of Asmongold doing a similar thing. Now you'll notice, I think this was actually really good to show exhaustively all these different enemies, all these different bosses. There was a one-handed bow right there, so there's one orange drop. So here he's going to get to the point where he shows you the difference. I think this might be the second to last one.
And here's what a boss kill looks like when you have 10 legendary crests active.
Right, nothing legendary yet, but what the fuck?
Sorry about the language.
2 legendaries, 3. What the 4? So what? Oh my god.
The average free player will be able to earn 10 crests in about 5 to 6 months worth of casual play, buying 1 a month from the Hilt Merchant and earning 1 from the free Battle Pass layer. So what?
I'm going to
1 a month from
I'm going to replay that.
What?
The average free player will be able to earn 10 crests in about 5 to 6 months worth of casual play, buying 1 a month from the Hilt Merchant and earning 1 from the free Battle Pass layer. So what you have just seen, using 10 legendary crests on a single run, is essentially 6 months worth of free player legendary crest loot potential condensed into a single chest.
Okay, so it's hard to even conceive of that, right? It's hard to even conceive of that. But that is... So when you saw what Asmongold showcased, what Callum just showcased, you're talking about 6 months of free-to-play. And we're not just talking about like 6 months of free-to-play play. We're talking about 6 months of dedicated, very faithful, checking the boxes, getting the things for that one Rift run. That's 6 months worth, and all it takes is 20-something bucks, 20-something pounds, and you get 6 months worth of free-to-play, meticulous, careful, checking the box grind. This is one of the things where this is pay to progress, right? Well, no, because that's you're literally paying for loot. He's gonna get into it here in a moment about how they actually don't even talk to you about the percentage chances of what you're paying for, because that would make it a loot box. It's because of the fact that it's in a gameplay loop that it doesn't count. So he's about to get into that, right? So this is not pay to progress. This isn't going to the store and buying like an XP boost or like a, you know, here's free 10 levels or something. It's not purely pay to progress, right? Now, the only reason I've ever been a stickler on calling something pay to progress versus pay to win, this is exactly why I'm a stickler on that. Because there is a giant universe, planet-sized difference between a game that lets you pay to progress and a game like Diablo Immortal. Like, what Warframe lets you do is not even in this, we're not even in the same solar system, okay? That's why I'm a stickler. I'm not splitting hairs. I'm not being pedantic when I say we should call something pay to progress when it's pay to progress, and we should call something pay to win when it's pay to win. Calling everything pay to win puts this game and Warframe in the same camp, which I think is nonsensical, and I think it lacks clarity and nuance. That's why I'm a stickler on that. I think there are plenty of things that are pay to progress that can be done fine and can be done in a bad way. There's also pay to win, and there's greater and worse forms of pay to win. But we all know that pay to win is the worst form of microtransaction, which is why I think it should be reserved for when a game is actually pay to win. Warframe's cosmetics. No, you can pay for progress in Warframe. You can pay to skip things and speed things up. It's not just cosmetics.
Diablo is known for dopamine-spiking loot fountains like that. Killing a boss and watching loot explode is quintessential Diablo design, and that exact experience in Diablo Immortal will cost you £20 a time. That rift took us 5 minutes to complete, meaning you can complete about 12 rifts an hour. If you 10 crest every rift at £20 each, you are spending £240 an hour. And even if you were mad enough to do that, you are not guaranteed the drop you actually want, as this streamer discovered, spending $5,000 and not ending up with a level 5 legendary gem. Quick update on that, as writing the script and editing these videos takes a few days, and that news story has since changed. That streamer has now spent $10,000 and still has no 5-star legendary gem. But it gets even more insidious, because there are laws requiring loot boxes in games to show the odds of any item received in that loot box. What rifts are is essentially just loot boxes with some gameplay before the loot. But that timer means that technically completing a rift does require a base level of skill, and this skill requirement means it's not gambling per se. And because of this very important distinction, Diablo Immortal does not have to list the drop percent chance of any individual item from a boss drop. If you could just put the legendary crests into a box, they would have to tell you. But if you put the crests into a rift attempt, play the rift, and then get the box, that single step of intermediate gameplay means they can avoid the loot box label. But if you do fail a rift while the crests are active, those crests are returned to you. You don't lose them, meaning one crest will always ultimately open the effective loot box of a boss kill. Now, it might seem a little bit strange to be able to put 1, 2, 3, or 10 crests in. It's quite the jump, but the 10 pull is a common trope in gacha games. Being able to draw 1 or draw 10 from a random gacha chance game is a classic design choice.
Now, Paul is pointing out that they do give you the drop rate percentages. So I don't know if that's an inaccuracy in this video, if he said they don't tell you. They don't have to, I think is the point. Like, they don't have to fall under a loot box classification, but they do tell you the percentages of a 1-star, 2-star, so a drop chance for legendary gems when using a legendary crest. That is outlined. Do they tell you though when you go all the way up to 10 would be the question, because that just says when using a legendary crest, does each crest increase that percentage by that amount, would be the question that I have. But I think his point still stands. For every 50, you get a 5-star gem. For every 50 legendary crests. So it's $20-something for 10. So it's 5 times of that. 5 times the 20. So it's $100, basically, to get the guaranteed 5-star gem. for every 50? Jiminy Christmas.
Can actually help to think of Diablo Immortal as a gacha game. They've just replaced the animation of the opening of the box with 5 minutes worth of gameplay to really enhance the tension of that drop. Legendary crests are effectively keys to loot boxes. The rift itself is the process of getting to the loot box, and this process means it doesn't have to show you the drop rates. But we're not even close to the final level of monetization, and it's hidden in the awful fine print. Finishing a rift gets you battle points, and these unlock the battle pass system. This is a linear track with rewards unlocked as you advance through it. There are 2 layers to this track advancing simultaneously, the free and the empowered. Both run at the same time, so whenever you unlock a free reward, you're reminded of what's waiting for you if you were empowered. Unlocking the empowered track costs $4.99 and comes with some cosmetics, or you can go for the collector's empowered unlock and get not only cosmetics, but instantly boost 10 ranks ahead of where you are. Now, the developers have repeatedly said you cannot buy power or items in Diablo Immortal directly. This is because you have to buy orbs and then use the orbs to buy crests and then run rifts with the crests to get the drops. There are steps between money and item, and this is how they justify it. However, buying the Empowered Collector's Battle Pass costs £13 and boosts you 10 ranks along. Now, the rank 10 reward is a legendary offhand weapon. So how is this not paying for equipment? Well, because the legendary offhand weapon is the free track reward. You can pay to boost to get it instantly, but they will argue that's not what you're paying for. That's...
This is... I actually think this is not the strongest point. This game has obviously got 1,000 things wrong with it. I actually think that's not a very strong point. Destiny does the same thing with their season pass. You can get the exotic like at level 10, or if you buy the season pass, you get it right away. I do not have a problem with that at all. Everybody's going to get it eventually, right? I think there are greater offenses in this game. There's far more direct connections to like selling of loot. I don't think this is one of those times to be like, oh, see, they're selling loot. Because again, the Destiny does the same thing, and I never thought it was a foul when Destiny did it. You don't have to play Immortal. You can simulate your chance. Oh, there's a $25 Rift Simulator website. Or it said GitHub. Hilarious.
The free player reward too. But you still have to play the game to gain the battle orbs from rifts and dungeons to level up the battle pass, right? Well, no. If you click rank up, you can just spend orbs to instantly boost your battle pass to maximum, unlocking all the rewards instantly. I've managed to grind to Battle Pass rank 13 for free with 27 ranks left to go. Boosting to maximum would cost me 4,050 orbs, meaning I'd still need to spend over £65 on orbs to skip the grind. And remember, all of this is Battle Pass Season 1. So if you aren't able to finish the Battle Pass legitimately before Season 2 releases, you might be tempted to pay real money to boost to get the final rewards, and when the second season comes out, get ready to unlock and pay to skip again. But the Battle Pass...
Without question, all Battle Passes should allow you to finish them later. I think that should just be an industry standard. I know Halo Infinite's doing that, even though Halo Infinite's progression system is garbage. Eventually, I'm assuming that they'll fix it and make it quicker, hopefully. But I think every single Battle Pass, Season Pass should function that way, especially if you pay for it. You know, if you pay for the enhanced one or something, those items should be yours as long as you play and level it up, right? Yeah, that's just... It's not surprising the game has FOMO. It's got every other offensive microtransaction practice, so... I spent less than $10,000, so this game is fine. Oh, how much did you spend? You spent $8,000 in the simulation. Jiminy Christmas. I agree with you, Lono. Let me finish my pass no matter what. I think that just shows you they don't respect the consumer at all, right? He's got another point coming up about how they clearly don't respect the consumer. You spend money, and they're like, sorry, bud, you might not even get everything you spent money on because, well, you just didn't play enough. Another jab at Halo. That's not a jab at Halo. I think what Halo does is exactly how it should be. It's just Right now, no one cares because the progression's so bad. No one's going to go back and regrind Season 1 in Halo when you get to Season 4 if the progression stays the way that it is. The progression right now is terrible. Even they've admitted that. Like, that's not a jab. 343 has all but admitted that, like, the progression system's not where they want it. And it needs to be where they want it, because if not, that value point withers on the vine. It's like, who cares that I can go back and do old seasons if the progression's awful? But I still think that should be the standard, that you can if you want. Especially if you pay for it.
This isn't the only paid-for progression system. There is a worse one. This is the Boon of Plenty. This advertises itself as a 30-day membership with daily login rewards and some mechanical boosts, such as more inventory slots and being able to access the market board from anywhere. It costs $8.99, but what I'm interested in is the way the login rewards are distributed. The Boon of Plenty says that you get these total rewards over 30 days. But let's read the fine print and see how it actually works. The Boon of Plenty can be purchased multiple times, stacking up to 90 days of daily gifts. Daily gifts can only be claimed while the Boon of Plenty is active, otherwise they will be lost. So if you have a Boon of Plenty active and you log in every day for 7 days, you'll get 1 regular crest a day for a total of 7. But if you fail to log in for those days and you only log in on the 7th day, you won't have a stack of crests waiting for you. You'll just get the 1 for that day. The missed days are effectively lost. So paying $8.99 doesn't get you all of this stuff, it gets you the chance to get all of this stuff provided you keep logging in. But here's where it gets super scummy. Extra gifts can be claimed every 5 cumulative login days. Cumulative login days carry over to the next Boon of Plenty period. And then it gives you a list of which gifts are handed out on cumulative days. A single legendary crest at 5, 10, and 15, a legendary and a legendary gem at 20 and 25, and then 2 legendary crests at 30. So things aren't evenly spaced. Being given 2 crests on 30 cumulative login days matters. Because if you miss a login day, you effectively miss that reward and you will lose it until you buy more Boons of Plenty. Think of it like this. If you have a Boon of Plenty active and you log in every day for 30 days, on the 30th day, you'll get 2 legendary crests. But if you miss a single day in that 30-day period, when you log in and the boon isn't active, your 2 legendary crests from the first boon are held until you log in for 1 more day. It's not consecutive, it's cumulative, meaning in total. So if you miss a single day in the 30-day period, you now need to buy another 30 days to make the boon active again and continue logging in to add days to the cumulative tracker. Don't think of the Boon of Plenty as the rewards it shows you. Think of it as you are paying for the privilege for your days to count toward cumulative rewards.
Now, another point that we really want to make here, I would have loved if he would have done this, is as soon as you miss a day, okay? As soon as you miss a day, you're always having to roll over into the next, right? Think about it. You miss 1 day. So on the 30th day, you don't get the reward. So then when the next one resets, you buy it again, and then you get your reward. Guess what? For that 30 days, you are now carrying the deficit of the previous one. You're 1 behind. You're always behind at that point. As soon as you miss 1 day, the next time you buy, that first day is your cumulative 30, and now the count resets. And guess what? You can only get a maximum of 29 days for that boon. Unless I'm wrong, and unless they count that as day 30 and day 1 simultaneously, you're always carrying that 1 day deficit forward. So you won't be able to get the rewards for the second Boon of Plenty. You're just going to do the same thing. You're going to get to the end, and it's going to be like, you need 1 more day, and then you have to buy. He did. He said if you miss 1 day, it restarts the 30 days. No, but what I'm saying, Butters, is I'm saying to add on to that point, I know he said that. You're not listening very carefully. I'm saying he could have said, in addition to you needing to do that, you will always have to do that going forward. Always. You're always carrying the 1 day deficit. Because you're always going to get to the end of a Boon of Plenty and be like, you only need 1 or 2 more days, so better buy the next one. It's not like it resets because it's cumulative. So he points out that you need to buy another one just to get your rewards, but the other thing that should be pointed out is that now means you're always having a deficit of however many days you missed from the first Boon of Plenty. That deficit's carried for an infinitude. You will never get... It will never reset. The only way it would reset is you'd have to buy the Boon of Plenty the second time, play 1 day, get your reward, do nothing, let that one expire, and then start over with the next one. You're always going to carry that deficit forward. It's ludicrous. It's literally set up to be like, you just need to spend a little bit more money to get the thing that you paid for. It's like an eternal goalpost. It's like you're always moving the goalpost, essentially, is what it's going to feel like.
You are effectively paying to be involved in a fear of missing out process. When I say Diablo Immortal is not a product to be sold, it is a process to be involved in, this is exactly what I mean. This is why they sell them in sets of 3, stacking up to 90 days. Because they know people will miss a day, and they won't realise, hang on, I've got rewards being held back, until that 90 days is up.
You pay the second boon and you get your early 30-day reward there. No. No, that's false. When you buy the second boon, you're getting your 30-day reward that's essentially from the first Boon of Plenty. So you've now bought 2 Boons of Plenty, and you're only going to get 1 30-day reward. You're going to get to the end of the second Boon of Plenty, and you're still going to be carrying a 1-day deficit, meaning you have to buy a 3rd Boon of Plenty to get the 30-day reward that you should have gotten for the second. You're always carrying the deficit forward every single time.
This is why they lock 2 legendary crests on the 30th login day. If you spend $8.99 and then miss a single day, you're now in a position of buy another 30-day boon or lose out on a valuable reward you've been working towards. This is quite simply one of the most abusively designed systems I've ever seen in a game. It is stunningly anti-player. It looks like you pay $8.99 to get these things, when you're actually paying $8.99 for the opportunity to have your login days count toward earning these things. But we are still not done. Once you hit level 45 and have progressed through the main story enough, you'll unlock another reward progression system, the Prodigy's Path. Think of it like another battle pass, but it doesn't have seasons. With the Prodigy's Path system, you gain rewards every 5 levels. Then when you hit the max level of 60, you'll gain rewards every 5 Paragon levels up to 85. But just as with the battle pass, there is a free path and then the adjacent paid path, and it costs £18 to unlock the paid Prodigy's Path reward side. But we're still not done. There is one final revelation. By now, you've probably seen the number $110,000 being thrown around. This is the figure the gaming news wants you to believe that YouTuber Bellular arrived at when he tried to work out how much it will cost to max a Diablo Immortal character, despite the fact he never actually arrived at that figure specifically. He was discussing how much it could potentially cost to max out a character, and the total cost of $100,000 was mentioned as a potential. Bellular himself even tweets out, "We talked about a claim a Redditor made, you journos picked that up, claimed we said it, and then spread it across the internet." Whatever the final figure actually is, leveling all 6 of your legendary gems up, because you can only equip 1 of each type of gem, will take a hell of a lot of reagents. Remember, you need equal level gems to funnel into a single gem to level it up, meaning it does get exponentially more expensive to do. But the absolute worst design choice, the most anti-player design possible in this monetization madness, is that everything, the battle pass, your enhanced membership of it, your progress along it, your legendary gems, your Prodigy's Path, your membership of that, the Heradric altar, the monstrous essence stash, your platinum for the market board, and your collected gold, the regular crests and legendary crests, which remember cost £20 a time to 10 crest a rift. In fact, every single thing except the abusively priced eternal orbs, all of it is per character, not per account.
So I just want to make a comment about the game journalism thing. Sadly, I don't think at this point in time, we may have a few. But I don't feel like we have any true gaming journalists right now. I think we have glorified bloggers who click farm for AdSense. I said the other day, I feel like a lot of the gaming journalism has turned into quasi-content creation. So there's clickbait, click farm. They're just trying to make money. So it's not surprising at all that, somebody made an offhanded remark about $100,000 and it gets completely distorted and misrepresented in the press and then gets like smacked down. It's like, oh, that's not actually true. And it's like, well, the guy tried to correct the record, but by then it's too late. There's a portion of the video that I'm not going to play because he references a gaming journalist that is not a journalist, that is a blogger who has committed egregious journalistic malpractice in the past, and I will not be pardoned promoting that person. Not that that's a problem with what Josh has done. You can't be tied in and clued into what every single glorified gaming blogger has done, but I think it's becoming part and parcel to the gaming journalist business. They're quasi content creators. They're not they're not like gaming press. They're not the gaming news. Most of them will do what they're told when developers ask because they get early access to pressings. It's one of the reasons why a handful of the journalists wouldn't touch my story back in 2020, because Bungie essentially was hanging over them saying, don't do it. Don't talk about it. Don't cover it. Nobody would cover it no matter what I sent to them. Nobody would correct or publish corrections. So that's a common thing that gaming journalism is going to continue to suffer from, is that they're quasi-content creators, and when they have a good relationship with the developer, they will do anything to maintain that relationship because they get press briefings and they can have articles written ahead of time and they publish them as soon as the news breaks, and they get ridiculous click rate and ridiculous money from it. Many of them at this point are wholly corrupt and not honest and have no integrity. So you need to be very careful when consuming gaming press these days.
If you want to have multiple characters, you will be paying for all of this for all of them. And that includes cosmetics. So if you spend £20 to unlock a cosmetic outfit, you only get it on the character you buy it for. All of this has caused players to review bomb the game and drop its Metacritic score down to 0.5, making it Blizzard's lowest rated game of all time. Despite this, it has so far made $6 million in the first few days. So now I've played for a few days and I've looked into the systems behind it. What's the actual verdict? The truth is that two seemingly contradictory things can both be equally valid. Diablo Immortal is an extremely fun game to play. The combat's great, the bosses are flashy. I enjoyed my time playing. The battle system is great, the synergy between the classes is nice, and the set and legendary items affecting your skills makes for a wide selection of viable builds. Running solo is fun, running in a group is super enjoyable. But
yeah, so yeah, the Metacritic score is down to like a 0.2. And the money, there's greater totals now. So he said 6 million the first couple of days. They made 24 million the first 2 weeks, 8.5 million downloads. It is a free game. So 8.5 million downloads, 24 million made in the first 2 weeks. And the Metacritic score is down to 0.2. More than likely, the length of these videos that he does, this was recorded prior to that happening. So he's going on information as is at the time. So every video's information is in that realm. There's certain pieces of information that will be subject to change. So this was just likely recorded before those numbers hit.
I am someone with a great deal of self-control when it comes to money. It is indeed fun, but it is also insidiously developed from the ground up to funnel every player action toward the cash shop. Someone said to me, just turn your brain off and play. And while I understand the sentiment of enjoy the flashing lights and loud noises, I am someone who enjoys engaging their brain and solving the puzzle of the game, the puzzle of min-maxing, the puzzle of build variety and team composition. I enjoy having to engage my brain to beat a game. But if you do...
I like that he outlines that at this point in the video, because the thing that made me not play, the thing that made me put the game down, was that I was enjoying it so much because it did all of the things right that you want to see in a loot-based game. And we've all experienced a very good and tight content loop where you're grinding for something or you really want something, and all of that's just going to completely evaporate when you get into the late stages and realize that you can spend $20 and get essentially 6 months worth of free-to-play progress. And the thing that he highlighted in one way earlier, he said, you could spend the $20 for a 5-minute rift, and over an hour it's going to be this much money. I look at it a very different way. It's that little microcosmic grind that's so rewarding, like the micro grinds that add up to a macro grind. The micro grind being 5 minutes and essentially costing $20 for 6 months of progress. So I either play painfully slow for 6 months so that 5 minutes can have a big payout, or I just take it on the chin and get virtually nothing. They have corrupted the smallest pieces of the game, so the entire foundation comes crumbling down. It's like trying to build a Jenga tower and all of the pieces at the bottom are cracked and uneven and crumbling. It's like you're never going to get very high on that tower. It's just going to topple over. This game just fundamentally topples over for me because the micro elements of the game have been completely destroyed. Just a basic 5-minute grind has been corrupted. So I've that's why I'm glad I stopped playing, because I kind of regretted it. I knew we would pull numbers. I knew we would get good turnout, but like even this reaction video today, I can tell that people are distancing themselves from even caring about this game, searching for this game. Like even the YouTube interest and intrigue, like Josh put this video out and then Asmongold reacted to it, and I just feel like that's it. So many people are now just they're just going to walk away from caring or searching about it because they just feel like it's over for them, right, until Diablo 4 comes out.
Do that with Diablo Immortal, you will ask yourself lots of questions, and the answer to every question is the credit card. And if you're still thinking, well, I've been having fun, great, so have I. Your fun is not invalid. No one wants you to stop having fun. We want the game industry to treat you better. We want the game industry to put a little more focus into making the game fun and a little less into making it predatory. I feel it's our responsibility as YouTubers to hold these companies to account and maybe focus on making the game fun, not spending time working out how you can get around the definition of loot box. And if you think Diablo isn't gambling, remember it's already been banned in Belgium and the Netherlands for falling foul of the EU gambling laws. But has Diablo Immortal lived up to the expectations that Blizzard have set for themselves? On Blizzard's website, on the About section, you can find 8 What We Stand For sections. The 2 that I think stand out the most are Gameplay First and Lead Responsibly. In the Gameplay First section, it says, "It is our job to make our games as fun as possible for as many people as we can reach." I do not believe Diablo Immortal is designed to be as fun as possible. I believe it's been designed to be as fun as it needs to be to keep people playing and then monetized. The next self-imposed standard is Lead Responsibly, which at the bottom says, "We are committed to making ethical decisions, always keeping our players in mind and setting a strong example of professionalism and excellence at all times." I cannot believe that decisions were made in Diablo Immortal with the players in mind. I believe they were made with the payers in mind. Paul Tassi.
So that I think that's basically to me that's the great end there. Yeah, there's like a minute left. So I think that's the great finishing line to end with, we're not ending. That it's the payers in mind. Like they definitely created a game that is 100% designed around getting you to spend money. It's not like... This would be a completely different conversation for me if they had this sort of shop over here, out of the frame. Like, what have we been saying? What have we been saying? Well, just play free to play and ignore it. Just ignore it. I don't think you can ignore it. I don't think you can. It's quite literally woven into the fabric of the game. It's baked into the crust. It would be like baking a pie and and putting garlic, it'd be like putting garlic and sriracha into the crust of the pie and being like, I don't understand. Just ignore the garlic and sriracha. You can enjoy this pie. I got the best apples and I sliced them just right and I baked it to perfection. Just ignore the sriracha and the garlic. And someone say, I can't do that. It's literally baked into it. I'm going to taste it no matter what I do. So even if you play this game free to play for a limited amount of time and you're having a good time and you're enjoying the content loop, I feel like eventually it is unavoidable that you are going to be met with the monetization practices. You're going to get hit with them. I don't think you can get away from them. I think they're constantly there. Diablo 4 will have microtransactions designed around cosmetics. No one has outright said that it won't have pay to win. It's like putting toothpaste and toilet paper into the crust of the pie. Garlic and apple doesn't sound so nice. Yeah, like, you can't say, oh, it's just there for the people that like it, just ignore it. It's like, no, it's so baked in. Like, as I watched it, I couldn't believe it. I was watching it this morning, and I thought, this is worse. This is honestly worse than I thought it was going to be. I did not expect it to literally be that level of bad. It's like, at every level, the further and further he goes in the video, it gets worse and worse and worse. It's like, well, you're gonna spend this. And the two things that I think really stood out to me was, you buy those 10 legendary crests. They are literally perfectly priced. They are perfectly priced so that you want to get the 10, okay? And after you do that, you then find out that all 10 is a maximum rift run. Like, that's such a bait and switch. This is a mobile game. This is what mobile games do. The only reason this is big games is because it's big news is because it's Diablo. Right. And according to the revenue report that we read, it's made $24 million in the first 2 weeks, and 43% of that is in America. Now, if those are good numbers, we had disagreement from people about whether or not those were good numbers, whether or not that was a roaring success or not, right? There were plenty of people that were saying that they didn't think that was a very good number. That wasn't a very good showing, or whatever. Okay. So we'll have to wait and see if that's true. But the startling aspect of it was that with Asian markets in play, China's not in play yet, but with Asian markets in play, America was leading the spending. And that would be a concern. Now, somebody would say, well, it's a mobile game. That's not that impressive for 2 weeks. Again, give it time. The way that it's structured, it would not surprise me at all. It would not surprise me at all if they slowly get more and more money as time goes on. Because the more people sink into it, the more they're going to want to spend. The more they play, the more they're going to want to spend. And again, if they can successfully launch it in the Chinese market, then you're looking at, you're just looking at an absolute groundswell of playing and spending. An absolute groundswell is on the horizon and is coming, because you literally cannot tell me that that the way they've set this up will not lead to more spending. It's quite literally set up for that. Why does it matter? One crest is a legendary no matter what. Why does it matter if you get them in 1 run or 3? Were you not watching that section of the video, Cage? It's basically a trick. They show you that you can slam in. They show you that you can slam in 3 legendary crests, okay? They show you that you can do that. And then, after you buy 10, really after you buy however many, let's just say you buy, 6, or however many you get, and then you go to slam them in, after you put in the 3, it sort of surprises you and says, oh, hey, guess what? You can add 7 more. Which just so happens to add up to 10, which just so happens to add up to the literal micro spend that is the most sensible, because the first 3 don't make any sense because you just keep falling short of the number that you're going to need. So the way they have it set up, they have it quite literally set up for you to buy 10 most commonly, and then you suddenly find out when you run a rift that 3 is not the maximum. 10 is the maximum. Been watching you since New World, rip New World. Bro, shout out. I don't know why you keep saying that. Yeah, New World I think could have a huge turnaround, but they're going to need a significant DLC. They're going to need a significant roadmap. That's what they're going to need. I think they could turn things around. I think the base gameplay loop in New World is sound. I also think they're going to have to consider doing PvE servers, because I don't know. People don't agree with me on that, and that's totally fine, but I think that game's downfall is the PvP aspects of it, personally. That's one of its downfalls. I think it could thrive. Without the PvP, or at least without the PvP being so central to the experience. So, you think it needs a reboot like Final Fantasy XIV? Yeah, there's a lot of varying opinions. There's a lot of different opinions on what needs to happen with New World. I'm just going to go ahead and ban that person because they're acting like a bot. By saying, well, that's just what mobile games do, you're downplaying it, you're dismissing it, you're actively contributing to the problem. Yeah, there are plenty of mobile games that don't do this. I've downloaded plenty of mobile games. Even when I got really upset with Marvel Puzzle Quest, it wasn't even close to what we just watched. Like, it wasn't even close. You're talking about a night and day difference. You're talking about a game that was being kind of scummy, where they would release a character that was really strong, and everybody felt motivated to level the character with money. Well, you didn't have to. That was just your choice. You also didn't have to engage in PvP. That was also your choice. Those things were there, and it certainly was, I think, nasty what they were doing. But they didn't do what we just looked at. But it is what they do. I would have to be more well-versed in what some of these other really, really big mobile games do, but that's not what all mobile games do. There are mobile games that do it, but that's not what they all do. It's not something that we should just be brushing off and being like, oh, that's just, mobile game's gonna mobile game. I don't think so. Not after you slot 3, they had 7 more max, and it wasn't shown previously. Yeah, the whole menu shifts. It's like, again, it's like a sucker punch. It's like a sucker punch. Not criticizing gaming bloggers of journalism, but it's worth noting that the blogger was highly critical of Immortal's monetization. Yeah, I mean, a stop clock can be right twice a day. I'm not going to promote people with zero journalistic integrity. I'm not going to promote people that committed journalistic malpractice. I'm just not going to. Calling them a blogger is the kindest thing we can do. Like, the truth is that some of those people are just liars. They're just dishonest frauds and liars. And so the nicest thing we can say is they're not really journalists. They're just bloggers. They're quasi-content creators who get in good with developers and don't want to cross any lines. So there's plenty of evidence over the years. It'll continue to happen because, again, the line has been blurred. The line has been blurred between a gaming journalist and a content creator, because they're basically creating articles which are basically, glorified blogs that they make money off of. And they don't have to tell you that they got access to stuff early, the way that when someone does a sponsored stream or when someone gets a code, they have to delineate that. They have to disclose that to the public. So why is it acceptable just because it's a mobile game? Now you're just making up stats. 95% of them do, with a few outliers. But that's the thing, Mo. I don't know if statistically that's accurate, if 95% of mobile games are doing that, right? I don't know if that's the case. The question would be, okay, this is something that people could say about console games, could they not? They could say, well, console games do pay to win, or video games have been doing pay to win for a while, and they could just brush it aside. But we all know the truth is not a lot of games are doing that. Not a lot of games are doing blatant pay to win. A handful of games have. That is possibly true. I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying it's possibly true that lots of mobile games don't do this, and there are some that do to great success, if that makes sense. This is an East versus West thing, says Paul. Just because this is what mobile games do doesn't mean now that it's getting more mainstream attention that we can't try to do something about it. Exactly. We recognize the surprise 10 is random, but I still don't know what value we gain from the 10 crest loot explosion. You put in 10 and you get 10. I don't know if it's... Cage, I don't know if it's properly spelled out. I don't know why you would do 10 instead of 3. Is it just to save time? Is it purely to save time, or is it multiplicative? Like, does it multiply the benefits of each crest each time you do it? I don't know. Do you think after the Microsoft acquisition is passed that this will get changed, or do they leave the game as it is? There it is, chat. When I ask for the clarity, is it this or this? I get, yep. It's just to save time. There it is. There's the actual explanation. I griped about that earlier. It's a pet peeve of mine. It's just to save time. Are you... I don't understand. Okay, hang on a minute. So the only reason that you plug in 10 crests is because doing that is faster than running 4 rifts. Because you would run 3 at 1, 2, 3. That would get you to 9, and then you'd slam in the 10th one. So there... My gosh. So they're giving you... This is Kaganeko, by the way. My other account's branded. Oh, okay. Good to see you. So the only way... So it's Kage, not Cage. Okay. It's unbelievable. So they're basically saying, hey, you can slam all 10 in now instead of waiting to do it. What's the point of that? It's a more efficient loot grind. Right. Oh my gosh. That's just nasty. I don't even know what to call that. That just feels so nasty. It's not designed so that you can do something that makes sense or that's better for the player. It's literally designed to be like, well, if you do this, you're going to save a ton of time. So it's a payment. It's a payment for efficiency of grind, so that your time is more adequately used. In addition to that, it's also you literally paying for loot. I just can't believe it. It just seems insane to me. It seems absolutely insane to me that they're going that far down the road. That's freaking bonkers to me. It's done to rope you in. Look up the psychology of gacha of a 10 pull. It's literally the same mental state of a gacha 10 pull. Time equals money in these games. The less time you spend doing XYZ, the more time spent farming stuff. And so in their mind, yeah, that's why he says it's like a gacha game, a gacha game, or I don't know. We always say gacha, and people think we're saying gotcha, like a gotcha journalist, right? Like gotcha journalism. No, it's gotcha. It's a type of game. It doesn't have anything to do with like gotcha journalism. Also, there's no proof that pulling in 10 isn't likely to give you better loot than 3. It might not only be time saving. There's no proof that... we don't know. I mean, I don't know. You think you're a whale? You'll need 7 more to be a super true whale. A Diablo Immortal player spent $15,000. Spent $15,000 getting a rare gem and then destroyed it in protest. Agreed. Imagine if PoE would sell you a 3-day head start for leagues. It's crazy. The percentage on crafting a 5-star at quality 5, 0.045%. So when you're gem crafting, the probability to craft a random legendary gem that is 5-star with a quality of 5. Just look at this. Just actually look at this image with me. This is just, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's like, it's this weird mixture of comedic and terrible. Like, look at that. So not only do they have the 1 through 5, not 1 through 5, 1, 2, and 5. Once you get to 5-star, there's quality 2, 3, 4, and 5. And when you get all the way down here, look at that. Okay, this right here, that's less than 1%. This is less than 1%, and it jumps to less than half. Like, that's not even less than half. That's well below 0.5%. But 0.1%, that's, what is that? That's almost 0.2%. And then all the way down here, 0.045%. That's less than 0.5%. Like, can you imagine being the person that had to type this out? You had to type this percentage out and hit the publish button. You'd be like, yep, 0.045%. Less than 0.5%. Like, it's beyond... It almost seems like a joke. It seems like satire. It seems like a meme. It doesn't... Like I said, it doesn't even seem real. It seems like... How on earth... Like, how on earth is this a thing? And again, when he did that at one point in the video, and he literally showed the currency just kept covering the screen, right? It was like, this is absolutely why they're getting away. Well, maybe not getting away with it. I mean, we're all trying to draw attention to it, but this is why they might get away with it, because people are literally not able to track it all. It's like there's a currency for everything. You need 22 of these to craft one. You can only get 18 per week. Well, of course you can't get enough in a week to do it. Of course not. I play a bunch of mobile games as part of game testing, and this is such a normalized thing in the market, says Akuta Papa. Diablo Immortal is one of the few I'm going back to and not paying. Even the Star Wars and Star Trek games do this, and it's annoying. 0.045% is, quote, almost impossible odds. Yeah, it's so low that it might as well not even be there. That's exactly right. It is so insanely low that it might as well not even be there. It's unbelievable. So you're saying there's a chance it should be named Diablo Immoral or Diabolic Immortal? It's so funny that, yeah, they chose that name. They chose that name, and it's talk about a name biting them right on the rear end. I mean, that is that's absolutely fantastic. Something tells me if someone broke down all of the biggest mobile games, nothing comes close to this. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is, I don't play them, so I can't push back on what Akuta Papa's saying. He's saying that the Star Wars and the Star Trek games do this very thing. Fluffy says, disagree. Rarity is a good thing in a game. Having that oh wow moment when you drop it. The issue comes as if you sell ways to farm it more efficiently. Homie, I got news for you. If I was playing a loot-based game that told me I could grind a boss for 0.045% chance of something, do you know what I would say? Bye. I'm not playing your game then. That's not rare. That's a misuse of the term rare. That's infinitesimally small. That's so small. You're talking about something. You're literally talking about something that is such a small chance that you can't say it's a chance. I would not play your game. I wouldn't touch your game. I wouldn't touch your game. Not in a million years would I touch your game if that's the way that it was set up. I would say, nah, I'm good. Thanks, bro. Because if that's how you're going to run your game, then I have no desire to play it. Because the odds of somebody getting that is just insane. It is so insanely low that you're talking about a chance of a chance of a chance of a chance. Like you're talking about people that would say, I don't even believe it exists. That's what would happen. There'd be people that don't even believe the items exist. Agree. Again, there's degrees of things. Let's not oversimplify. Negligent homicide is different than first-degree premeditated murder. Right. That's exactly right. Like, there's a difference between games doing pay-to-win. There's a difference between games doing predatory spending practices and what we looked at today. In Warframe, there are less than 1% drop rates, but it's from enemies that you can kill 4,000 in a single mission. Yeah, and I use the example of a boss. If I could go kill a boss for like 0.045%, I would be like, I'm not interested. Diablo Immortal just shut down, no notice. Doubt. Just a question, but let's say this level 5 gem drops. Will it still be randomized in some way? Or is it the best possible drop? No, the level 5 gem can be a quality of 2, 3, 4, or 5. It's not even a guaranteed good gem. A 5-star gem can have a quality rating of 2, 3, 4, or 5. So you can get a level 5 gem at a quality of 2 or 3. Like, it's not even... It's RNG on top of RNG. So there's an RNG chance that you get a level 5 gem, right? That's a thing, okay? That's a thing. And then when it drops, there's the RNG chance that it's a 2, 3, 4, or a 5. So it's RNG of an RNG. It has to be a 5-star gem with a 5 quality, and it has to be a good 5 out of 5 gem. So apparently there are crap ones. Yeah, so it might be a 5-star gem that you don't even want, and then if you finally get the 5-star gem that you do want, it might be a low quality. The lowest non-cosmetic drop rates for a boss in Warframe are 5%. Yeah, I'd have to play the game, measure the content loop before I gave my opinion. Right, I'd have to know more before I gave my opinion on drop rates. Down detector is actually showing reports. We did it, chat. We did it. No, that's not what I'm saying. I thought you were saying there are actual gems that are people don't want. So not only are there gems that you can get that are low quality, you can get gems that you don't even want. It's just a bad gem. It could be a 5-star gem with 5 quality, but be a crap gem, if that makes sense. Yeah, that's what I said. I must not have said it very well. That's what I was saying. You might not even get the gem that you want. You might get a quote-unquote bad gem. That's the first layer of RNG. The second layer of RNG is you actually get a gem that you want. You actually get a good gem, and it actually happens to be a 5-star gem. Another layer of RNG, another layer of RNG. The final layer of RNG is it can be a quality of 2, 3, 4, or 5. So it's a 5-star gem with a 3 quality. Makes sense of that. Yeah, you finally get the 5 out of 5. You finally shoot the unicorn through the ring of fire. And when you do, you get the gem that you don't even want. You get a gem that's bad. Right, exactly. Like, it's just the whole thing, like I said, it ends up sounding like satire. It doesn't sound real. It sounds like, who could possibly build a game like this? You know what I'm saying? It seems insane to me. Warframe's one of the most honest free-to-play games and honest developers in the market. Don't lump that game with Immortal. Well, here's what I was saying. Bello. I was saying that there are people who what they do is they have a problem with any sense of pay for anything, right? Pay for progress, pay for this, pay for that. Anything that's pay for, they're against it, right? And for me, I actually think that you should be better about saying, pay for progress, pay to win. I actually think they should be delineated separately, because there's a giant difference between you paying for progress in a game like Warframe, okay? There's a giant difference between that and people doing and diving into Diablo Immortal. Like, I was just getting frustrated by people, like, sort of liberally using pay to win, because I think there is a giant difference between certain types of pay for stuff. That was just my contention. So the reason people might be bringing up is because I have been saying for a while that there's a giant chasm of difference between the way that you can spend money in Warframe. Oh, somebody brought up Warframe because I said I would never play a game that had percentage chances that were that low, and somebody brought up They basically brought that up. It was like, oh, well, there's less than 1% chances of items in Warframe, but you can kill the enemies like 4,000 times in a mission or something. And so that's why they brought it up. I basically said, if I wasn't even talking about like spending money. I was like, I don't even want to spend time in a game that has items that are dropping at that low of a percent. Like, you get to a point where the percentage drop rate, because somebody was like saying like, oh, things are supposed to be rare, that's how it should be or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, right? I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I look at some of these situations in a completely different light. I look at it and say, well, what's the item? What's the reason I'm going for it? What's it going to do for me? And when you have the drop rate and the drop rate's too low, I often feel like sometimes you're just cheating for gameplay time. That's what I feel like sometimes. I feel like you're basically cheating. You're like, well, we don't really have the greatest content loop, or we actually don't have that much content, so we're going to make drop rates in the toilet, and then people are going to have to play a bunch, kind of a thing. Give me 1 second. I'm back. Okay. All the Diablo servers are offline. Blizzard is probably updating. This sort of worked with Diablo 2, though. Just no paywall. You just know what you're farming for. I probably worded it badly. In PoE, you have thousands of items. Some drop super commonly and some don't. There are a few that are super rare, but if you drop it, you get that. I'm going to let you finish your thought there. That wow moment, which feels good, but they're by no means needed. Right. Oh, shoot. Hang on one second. Sorry, my wife gave me a yogurt. PoE is Path of Exile. My wife gave me a yogurt with my lunch, and I love that they're really, really good, and I like them. But the problem is like I'm not in the mood for it right now. And I looked down, I was like, it's gonna sit here and it's gonna go bad. So it's putting it back in the fridge. PoE gems are all earned in-game unless you're a sly devil who buys currency off-site for real money and uses that currency to buy gems. Oh my gosh, why would you do that? So yeah, what I was going to say. What I was going to say is I'm okay with there being rare items in games, right? I'm okay with there being rare items in games. My issue most of the time is there's those coveted items that everybody wants. Let's just say there's 5 super coveted items for your barbarian, okay? And when those drop at a percentage chance that's like super, super duper low, it gets to the point where, and I'm not speaking about Path of Exile, but I've played games where you almost feel like there might as well not even be a chance. Does that make sense? So I'm not saying this is true of Path of Exile. I'm saying if percentages get too low, then you almost feel like you're sort of being mocked. You're like, well, how many conceivable times could I play this and not get a drop because of the way that they've set it up? So I do think there are times where the chances are so low, it's almost an insult to the player's time, right? There's almost a passive. They're not like actually insulting you, but it kind of feels that way, you know. It kind of feels like they're insulting your intelligence or something. It's like you deep down have this sense of I'm never gonna get this, you know, and there's plenty of reasons to feel that way because of the way that they set up the chances. You know, like that's always been kind of my feeling. That's always been kind of my contention, is that when you have the chances so low that it ends up feeling almost futile, then that's when I take issue with it. It's almost as if it starts to feel as if it's corrupting the gameplay itself because the chances are so low, you feel almost defeated. It starts to feel unfair. Right. What I've always said you should do in a game, this has always been my principle of loot delivery, is that drop rates should be high as well as iterations of the weapon. So if the weapon drops every time and I get a chance, like so when it drops, I get the dopamine hit of the drop, I go look at it, and then I say yay or nay to the roll that I got. Does that make sense? So what you're doing is you're creating a rhythm of excitement and reward, and then the reward has varying degrees of quality. So then you could enjoy a mediocre or maybe close to perfect version of the weapon while you're waiting to get the perfect one. Does that make sense? I've always said that the philosophy behind loot delivery is generosity is not the enemy of engagement. It isn't. It's not like if you're generous and people are being rewarded with drops that they're going to stop playing. My gosh, look at the way that Diablo Immortal is structured as proof of this. Generosity is not the enemy of engagement. They literally make you pay for generosity, and people do it, right? Because generosity promotes engagement. Generosity is such a strong motivator that it actually motivates people to spend money in Diablo Immortal. Like, just think about that for a second. Generosity is such a strong motivator that it will get people to spend money. So game companies should take note. You can actually motivate people to engage with your game with generosity. Goodness gracious, if you can get people to spend money, certainly you could get them to spend time in your game, could you not? So that's how I think game companies should start to think about loot delivery, generosity, RNG, and percentage chances on items. What you do is, think of it this way. The reason they have you buy a fantasy currency, okay? The reason they have you buy a fantasy currency is they want you disconnected from the fact that you're spending real money. Well, you can pull the same sleight of hand with the RNG. So if you're getting the item every time and the RNG is actually on whether or not the item has good stats or perks, you've essentially disconnected me from the RNG. I'm not as aware of it. I'm not as keenly aware of the fact that the percentage chances of getting what I'm looking for are really, really low. Why? Because I'm getting something every time. You're disconnecting me from the pain of the wrong drop or the bad drop. I'm disconnected from it because I'm getting something every time. I'm now in a lane of I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep engaging. I've gifted more things in Warframe than bought for myself. I like to help newer players get a strong footing in the game. I love Warframe, but I feel like I've beaten the game. The last goalpost for me was hitting MR30. Now I only really get on to help newer players or new quests come out. Yeah, I mean, I think every game you hit everybody hits their head on the ceiling of a game a lot of the times. They don't need to take note, though. Blizzard has folks spending thousands of their game to prove a point. Yeah. Content creators dumping tens of thousands of dollars, to prove a point. To a certain extent, the hope would be, Barrier, that guy spent $10,000 and he's convinced 100,000 people to not spend even $1. So his $10,000 is like a torpedo in the side of the boat. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I would think. I would think that would be his hope. That'd be the hope of anybody, is that he's exposing enough people that won't spend. You know, if he gets 100,000 people to not even buy the battle pass, that's $500,000 that he dissuaded people. You spend $10,000 to $20,000 in the game, and you convince a couple 100,000 people to not spend money. I would say that's a winner. That's a good turnout. It's smart on his end. You show people how blanking stupid it is, and you earn money yourself. Yeah, it's a tax write-off because it's a business expense. He's gone viral. His channel growth's probably crazy. He's probably getting subs and tips because people are offsetting that cost because they're like, hey, rather than go and spend $5 in Diablo Immortal, give this guy your $5, to support him or whatever. It's just silly to me. Well, the whole thing has an air of comedy about it, right? The whole thing feels a little comedic. There's an air of comedy to the entire situation. The idea that, like, as I said, as he's going through the details, as he's combing down through it all, I'm like, it just gets worse and worse and worse. Like, it's analogous to a dungeon in Diablo. Like, the further you go down the dungeon, like, the worse it gets. Like, this is truly terrible. It's bad. It's real bad. it's super duper bad. Oh, come on now. Oh, there was a better one that it didn't happen. I'm sad about the 99-cent pack. you get right at the beginning. That's your membership push. Get a Reforge Gaming membership. It's better than wasting your money in Diablo Immortal. Yeah, man. I think the sad news is I don't know if we're going to be able to hit the 2,000. Just because I think that there's too many people that can't claim or too many people that already have claimed. Like, I don't know. Dan Zatasik and a couple other people tried to earlier, and it took a long time for just 5 to get claimed. You know, I think the train on that slowed down. Because when Barrier came up with the idea last night, I was like, oh, that's amazing. That would be so fun. We should start putting a Patreon link and a members-only Discord page. It works for Diablo. We're out of gray names. It's not that we're out of gray names. There were plenty of gray names earlier, but it took a long time for the five gifteds to get claimed. It was really odd. I saw tons of gray names, and a couple of the people said, I can't claim, whether they were on mobile or it's that weird non-branded thing where they have to switch to branded, or if they're on a branded, they can't do it or something. There's something going on with branded accounts not being able to claim. With everyone complaining about Diablo Immortal, who's actually playing it? Well, we did a poll at the top of the chat. Diablo Immortal. Are you playing Diablo Immortal? Almost 700 votes, and 80% are saying no. 81% of the viewers today that took the poll have been like, I'm not playing the game, right? What do you mean by branded? So some people switch to a branded account, which is basically an account for somebody who's going to create content so that you can turn it into a brand. You're going to put your logo. You're going to put your name. You're going to do all those things. That is something that is, for some people, is messing with their ability. It's messing with their ability to claim, or whatever it's called. Viewers here aren't, but others definitely are. On mobile, it's iffy. Yeah. It's definitely hit or miss on mobile. Some people can, some people can't. Some people are unbranded and can't claim. Some people are unbranded and they can. Diablo Immortal China delay is indefinite. They may have run afoul with a post that seemingly referenced President. Oh, the President. Publisher NetEase may have run afoul of censors after a viral Weeaboo post that seemingly referenced the President. The development team is making a number of optimization adjustments. Yeah, sure you are. YouTube just has to make it easier. It's their first 3 weeks out of beta for sure. I made a branded account so I could use Valiant instead of my real name without having to create a brand new YouTube account. I'm here almost every day and have no idea how to claim from my phone. Yeah, it's definitely easier on a browser. It is. So for those of you that don't know, we're in the mid-1600s on members, which I did not expect. We already did the big goal of, like, I ate a steak with ketchup. We've got that in the members-only playlist. We'll create a command eventually. You'll be able to type that in chat. I could actually make that command right now. But I was like, man, we might be able to hit 2,000 because people have been going so crazy. And I was like, what could we come up with for a 2,000 members, hitting 2,000 members? And Barry was like, you could watch like one of the Star Wars movies, do a watch party with Madam. And I was like, oh my gosh, that could be hilarious, because what we would do is we would sit here and you could hear us talking. We would watch it. You would not be able to hear the movie. And there are Chrome extensions where I can control your player. You join my session through the Chrome extension, and as long as you have a Disney Plus subscription, I can pause and play the game. So, I'm sorry, pause and play the movie. So let me do AdCom steak. If you missed the 1,500 member celebration steak with ketchup, you can watch it here. There we go. Now we have a steak command. You wait, what now? No way. Yeah, when I said 1,500 members steak with ketchup, I never thought we were going to hit it. It was revolting, and I'm glad I missed it live. Your membership tripled. Yeah, we tripled the membership. We could quadruple it if we hit 2,000 members, which would be insane. So long as there's a drinking game attached, I'm in. I don't know if we'll do a drinking game because I don't want to end up dead. Like halfway through the movie, I'm literally like on the ground vomiting, like because we decided to play a drinking game during a Star Wars movie. I just play the movie the same time you're playing it so we know where you are. Well, but the Chrome extension's super easy to use. Like I literally just post a link, you click on the link, and you join my watching party of the movie. Now, again, you have to have a subscription to do this. This isn't like a loophole to watch a free movie. And if I pause it to use the restroom or whatever, we're exactly synced up. So, like, as I'm saying stuff, there would be a little bit of stream delay. There would be a little bit of stream delay, actually. Because you guys would be watching it live on your television, and we would be on your laptop, your phone, or whatever talking. There'd be slight delay. We'd be responding to stuff well after it happens. Halfway through the movie, Lono's just slumped and shouting about Jar Jar. We would do episode 1 because my wife actually really likes it. She likes Qui-Gon. She actually really likes episode 1. A bingo card game to go along with it. Yeah. So we'll see between now and the end of the month. We'll see if the gifting, if we have some big days. I actually thought that today was going to be huge. This morning was great with the Evil West thing, but that did better and stronger than this reaction vid. I thought this reaction vid, I bet you that we're just super late. We're just really, really late to it, which is totally fine. I'd rather wait a while before reacting, let the person's video get spun up and do what it does. You know, we're super late to the conversation, so people are like, yeah, we've already seen the video, and we've already seen Asmund react to it. So yesterday's reaction video to Maddie did a little bit better because I think it was just a more fresh subject and less people have probably talked about it. We do have some other videos we want to react to. Alana Pierce has one on Sonic. There's an actual Digital Foundry video on Starfield I would love to watch with you guys because it's like actually changed my mind on some things. So we still have some other stuff that we could do. Yeah, just invite everybody to your house. Sure. Can we please make the watch along a thing? Barry says we're trying. Yeah, we're trying. It's tough, man. People already rose to the occasion. The fact that we're sitting in the 1600s is bonkers by itself. I didn't think we would be where we are right now to begin with. So the stretch goal is an actual genuine stretch goal. We had no idea that we were going to get where we are, right now. I didn't anticipate it. So we didn't even have a goal. And then I was brainstorming because I was like, man, we could really do something fun for 2000. And Barrier came up with the idea last night, and I loved it. So let me switch my audio source. We are getting ready to do one more switch before we go over to radio. I got to save some juice for next month. Oh, for sure. Because the way it's going to work, guys, it's going to be like an accordion, just kind of speaking housekeeping here. It's going to be like an accordion. We're going to fall way down next month and slowly climb back because there will be people that decide to do the membership on their own once they lose it. They'll be like, oh, that was pretty fun. I liked the extra streams. I'll spend the $5 or whatever. But we will fall down pretty hard. So what we'll probably have is a goal every month that whenever we hit 1,000 and whenever we hit, 1,500 and whenever we hit 2,000, we'll always have like really cool events and goals. So every month we can kind of celebrate. Hitting those goals because we'll lose quite a few, especially that first week in July because I'll be gone for a little bit for the holiday and we won't even be streaming. And all those people that got gifted will just immediately fall out of the pool. So what's stretch goal? 2,000 members. We're about 300 something away. And if we hit that stretch goal, we will do a Star Wars Episode 1 watch party. There's extensions you can use in Chrome, and Madam and I would sit here and talk and obviously debate about the movie's quality because she actually likes it and she likes Qui-Gon, and it could be pretty funny. Okay. Let me send out the tweet we are getting ready to showcase the brand new Fall Guys on Xbox One and on Switch. 1,000 is spoken for. We fall below 1,000, no more Madam. Oh, no more Madam on cam. Right. I am going to showcase Switch gameplay as well. I got it installed on my Switch. And I must have everything. I must have my Xbox account linked to Epic because it automatically it automatically gave me all my stuff. It automatically gave it all to me. Okay. So we're going to send that. And then we're going to retweet it over here. Okay, come on, send now. All right. And then we'll do this. We'll do that. We'll end that poll. Is the Fall Guys update out? Yes. It's free on... It's now free on all platforms. Hang on, let me go into studio mode. I always like when these transitions are a little bit cleaner. Okay. All right. Okay, so this is what we're heading over to. Turn my music off. We discussing the disappointment? What disappointment? I haven't even played it yet. Like, I've played the game before. Fall Guys Xbox gameplay as well as Fall Guys Switch gameplay will be showcased in this stream. I've got all my stuff that I've earned on both my PlayStation and my PC. Everything was there. I think I already had my Epic account synced up with my Xbox account. So as soon as I booted it up, it just immediately had everything for me. Fall Guys Free for All is now the new season. Season 1 is available currently. We're going to comb through the battle pass, the currency, all the changes. We're going to check it out. We're going to see what the performance like is on the Nintendo Switch. This is on my Xbox right now, Xbox Series X. And we will check out the Nintendo Switch performance as well. I'm going to bring everybody